Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
Copyright disclaimer. This does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to the content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles did not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of United States copyright law states material in use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principal material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright law.
Yeah. Kings. Yeah. Coming straight out of the Nile. I'ma tell you about a great big liar. Yeah, but Egyptians was not white. Them college niggas ain't right. Built the pyramid. Look at them lips. Look at them hips. That booty so round. You know that girl be brown.
So you mean that we was like, whoa?
We was kings and shit. Boy, you know that it is true. We was kings and shit. Nigga, what you gonna do? Ramses was black. Tutankhamun was black. Y'all know Cleo was black. Who made it into space? Nigga, that was the black race.
You're welcome.
They're covering it up in the books. Bunch of cracker-ass crooks.
Tell it again.
You can even go out of Egypt. Find out who the real chosen people. Mozart, Beethoven, King George, Vikings. They was all black.
We was kings and shit, but you know that it is true. We was kings and shit. Nigga, what you gonna do? So what you saying is like, but what you all talk about is, so you mean that we was like, what? Her ancestors, blood ran through us, the hooligan battle, oppressing all yours. Just remember this one little thing. We was kings and shit, but you know that it is true. We was kings and shit. Nigga, what you gonna do? I don't even know what I'm saying no more, dude. Shit.
Oye, que estamos aquí. Mírame, estamos aquí. Desde hace rato, cuando ustedes llegaron, ya estaban las huellas de nuestros zapatos. Se robaron hasta la comida de gato y todavía se están lamiendo el plato. Bien encabronados con estos ingratos. Hoy le doy duro a los tambores. tambores hasta que me acusen de maltrato. Si no entiendes el dato, pues te lo tiro en cumbia, bossa nova, tango o vallenato. A lo calaboy y bambú, bien frontú, con sangre caliente como Timbuktu. Estamos dentro del menú. Tupac se llama Tupac por Tupac Amaru del Perú. América no es solo USA, papá. Esto es desde Tierra del Fuego hasta Canadá. Hay que ser bien bruto, bien hueco. Es como decir que África es solo Marruecos. Estos canallas se les olvidó que el calendario que usan se lo inventaron los mayas con la Valdivia precolombina. Desde hace tiempo, este continente camina, pero ni con toda la marina pueden sacar de la vitrina la peste campesina. Esto va para el capataz de la empresa. El machete no es solo para cortar caña, también es para cortar cabeza.
Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerdes. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerdes. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. 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 Te muerde, te muerde.
Los paramilitares, las guerrillas, los hijos del conflicto, las pandillas, las listas negras, los falsos positivos, los periodistas asesinados, los desaparecidos, los narcogobiernos, todos los que robaron, los que se manifiestan y los que se olvidaron, las persecuciones, los golpes de estado, el país en quiebra, los exiliados, el peso devaluado, el tráfico de droga, los carteles, las invasiones, los emigrantes sin papeles, 5 presidentes en 11 días, disparo a quemarropa por parte de la policía, más de 100 años de tortura, la nova trova cantando en plena dictadura. Somos la sangre que sopla la presión atmosférica. Gambino, mi hermano, esto sí es América.
Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerdes. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerdes. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. 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 Te muerde, te muerde.
Doctor viene a decirnos con mucha firmeza y gran convencimiento lo mismo que nos decía en el siglo XVIII el barón de Holbach, ¿no? Un filósofo francés de origen alemán. Si nos remontamos al comienzo, entonces hallaremos que la ignorancia y el temor crearon a los dioses. La fantasía, el entusiasmo o el engaño los adornaron o desfiguraron. La debilidad les rinde culto, la credulidad los conserva, la costumbre los respeta y la tiranía los apoya para que la ceguera de los hombres sirva a sus propios intereses.
Hey, yo. Bueno. All right, family. Hold on a second here. All righty then. See what we got going on. Let me get these string going. All right. Good evening. Good morning for those that are afar, and good afternoon that you guys are way across. There's a couple people that watch from India and Asia. A very small percentage, like 10% of the people subscribe to this channel, believe it or not. So that makes it like 70 something people from over there watching this channel. That's pretty good. All right, so check this, man. I got a class going on today. You know, in this channel, we got a lot of topics to handle, to cover. So, you know, I don't run away from none of them. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of break down the delusional Canaanite apocalypse. I should have put delusion. I didn't even think of that. And then we'll see. Again, I'm going to bring facts, not fiction, not emotions, not feelings, man. This is all just documentation and words from their own mouths as well. So, with all that being said, let me see who's here again. What up, brother? Good to have you here. Good to have you, bro. Hey, what up, sis? Good to have you here too. So, let's begin. All right, so here's what we have there, right? This is from one of the tools I have with the same Bible that I keep showing you guys, the eSword. It provides me with like these maps here, options to do maps, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to look at some maps real quick. Kind of bring you back to the Bible. Is if you, again, we're dissecting this book. Okay? Now, in order for us to understand the Bible, we kind of have to go back to the beginning, okay? So we don't forget, because a lot of us have been trained to ignore these important things. That's too much. All right? So keep in mind that the way the scriptures speak, everything started here. Okay? Contrary to science, everything started here. All right? I need you to remember that. If you go back to Genesis 9, we see that God gave his blessing to Noah and his sons and said, "Be fertile and have increase and make the earth full." Now you go further down, you see Noah's descendants, right? Genesis 9:18, and the sons of Noah went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Ham is the father of Canaan. Huh. Interesting that it like emphasizes that. You get what I'm saying from the get-go. Now, but that's not the point right now. However, it says the three sons were supposed to people the earth, okay? Now, here we see the curse of Canaan. We're going to see that in a bit. Let's not even read about it too much right now. So that's verse 9. In verse 10, it says descendants of Noah again, identifies them a little bit further, and then speaks on their children. Genesis 10:6, and the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim, and Put and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Saba, Havilah, and Sabta, and Ramah, and Septeka. So as you can see, here we have Ham, right? And his children. So just like you would have, let's say, for example, the sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog, right? The sons of, we go down further, and we'll see, if not mistaken, the sons of Shem, or did he say it before? Verse 21, and Shem, the older brother of Japheth and the father of Eber, had sons in addition, you see? So then now he says Shem. Now, this is important, okay? This is important because it's talking about a heritage, and through this heritage of Shem, not through Ham, Japheth, or anything else, because it doesn't talk about them in this scriptures it's that way, okay? We understand that after Shem, or I should say after, let me see, what's Eber, not Joktan, where are you? Maybe verse 11? Hold on. Give me a moment. Okay, descendants of Shem. Okay, I'll show you right now. So we have Genesis 11:10. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old when he became the father of Arphaxad. 2 years after he grew 2 years after the great flow of water, the flood, and after the birth of Arphaxad, right? Let's go to verse 12. And Arphaxad was 35 years old when he became the father of Salah, right? So let me just skip. So then we see Salah, then Salah has Eber, then Eber has Phaleg, and then Reu. So this is where the splitting of the nations happens, right? But it doesn't say when it's split. However, hold on. So it's speaking of this region here, okay? Now, keep this in mind that there is jubilees as well. And if you, I mean, jubilees is not like, there's really no discrepancies in jubilees because it talks about the early, the Torah, basically certain passages, a specific part of the Torah, right, regarding Abraham and all that stuff. So here in Jubilees 9, it shows us how the earth was divided after the Tower of Babel, right? In Genesis 11. Genesis 11 tells us that this is the Tower of Babel, and God said, yeah, the hell with this shit. I'm going to split everybody up. Genesis 11:9, so it was named Babel because there the Lord took away the sense of all languages, and from there the Lord sent them away over all the face of the earth, right? Babel. Where is Babel? Babylon. Now you guys might think this is like, yeah, who doesn't know that? No. See, that's the thing. See, a lot of you guys, a lot of you people of all kinds of nationalities, right? They're separatists as well. And then you kind of criticize the way some of the brothers over here talk. You believe and ignore the same things. You guys want to bring up science and then claim to be Hebrews. What the fuck is that about? You say, oh, no, Hebrews started over here in Africa when it never did over there. Matter of fact, now that I'm bringing this on this topic, do you know the major fucking gods of the world were here in this region? The ancient gods, ancient traditions, mystery, religions, all that shit was here, not in Africa, not in Europe. So let's remind ourselves where this all originated. Out of Babylon, everything then became, right? So people split. So here we see, and Ham divided among his sons, Jubilees 9, chapter 9, verse 1. Ham divided among his sons. The first portion came forth for Cush towards the east. You guys know where Cush is, Ethiopia, okay? If you look at a map in Africa, that's the east side of Ethiopia. And to the west of him, right, to the left of Ethiopia, meaning like you go up Africa, kind of touching so-called, the Middle East, is Jerusalem, Israel, that region, but then touching also almost the center of Africa, but not so much, okay? So that's Mizraim, which is meaning the consideration of Egypt. And to the west of him, right, it's Put, meaning the predominantly North Africa, okay? Right? So just consider that, and it's touching West Africa as well. And to the west of him, to the west thereof on the sea for Canaan. Now, it says on the sea. We don't have to be brainiacs to figure this out, okay, family? I mean, it really doesn't take a brainiac. Map of the world. Hold on. Right? Map of the world. It doesn't have to be complicated. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really doesn't have to be complicated. When we start looking at things for what they are. So we see here, if you consider, let me go magnify myself more. And this is like more current, so that's good. So, as if you consider, it started here, okay, where my circle is. And then everybody split. Everybody got their lot, right? Here's where Shem should have been, right? Right? Well, technically here, and then the 12 tribes technically there, right? And then it says Ethiopia, Cush, right? Mizraim, Egypt, to the left of him. And remember, keep in mind that it says to the east, and then to the west of Put, to the west of Mizraim, Put. The west of Mizraim is over here. And then to the west of Put is Canaan, to the sea, like towards the sea. That's Sierra Leone, Liberia, like all West Africa or West Africans, okay? It says from here to the east. It's not complicated when you just read it for what it is. Now, we're not going to get into the whole how did they end up over there. So we're going to touch it, you know? I don't want to get ahead of myself. But I need you guys to consider the notes, whether you're going to watch it later or now. Consider the notes and write the stuff down and mark it, because you have to see the timeline of not only who they are, but what they did in between time, what came of them. And then you know what I mean? Because they're calling you Canaanites, you fucking dumbasses, bro. Like, I don't understand why you guys don't get it, man. You know what I mean? Like, our gente is asleep, bro. Straight up. She's babosos, wait, hold on. I'm sorry, dog. I don't know what to tell you. Because if you just see, like, how it kind of went, you know, how the road is for certain people, even for us, like, we can determine certain people. It's not complicated. Let's continue. Okay? So we see here, then Shem also divided amongst his sons. The first portion came forth for Ham and his sons, right? So then he's saying the first portion came for Ham, so that's it. And then it goes to Shem. Then it says, to the east of the river Tigris, till it approaches the east, and the whole land of India, and the land Red Sea on its coast, and the waters of the Dan, and all the mountains of Mabri, and Elah, and the land of Suzan, and all the side of Farnak, and the Red River, and the river of Tinah. Basically, it's saying that all the Middle East, almost running all across India, I think even touching the sea, like the Atlantic Sea. It gave all of that to Shem, okay? Because Ashur was there, Arphaxad was there, the land of the region of the Chaldees were there, the east of the Euphrates. So in case you don't know, that's technically where the ancestors of so-called Abraham came from. So as you can see, you know, our Creator gave Shem a good portion of the land, right? And all of that measure. That's why you have India and Asia, you know what I'm saying? All of that stuff, all of that region, not all of Asia, you know what I mean? You have to limit it to the North Asia part. But that's why it's so vast. So that's, we can understand now that it doesn't say Ham, go to Africa, but it's instructing Ham, hey, listen, Tower of Babel, you guys got to go. You're going to go towards the east. And then further than him is Mizraim. And then further than him is Put. And then way to the west side of West Africa is going to be Canaan. That's the fact. Okay? That's a fact. Now you're going to say, a lot of you guys use Jubilees, but then you don't want to accept that part. It's like, what do you mean, bro? Oh, I was going to share that. I'll share that late. I'll say that after. Let's listen to this real quick, man. I thought this was good. As it goes, I'm going to show you guys some verses so you can see exactly what it's talking about. All right. Let's play it.
The Canaanites, and God commanded that they all be destroyed completely.
I think that's too fast. Hold on. So we're going to see about the Canaanites. Now it's putting a bunch of imagery, a bunch of different people. You know what I'm saying? It's all good to me. I don't care. We understand exactly where we're going with this. All right. Because you guys call yourselves Canaanites. You know what I mean? It's not just me.
These were called the Canaanites, And God commanded that they all be destroyed completely, with no mercy. Not for the women, not even the children. No peace treaties, no alliances, no survivors. But why did God command this? And what sin could these people have committed that the God of heaven would demand the total annihilation of everything that breathed within their borders? Well, the tragic curse of these people began a long time ago. Once upon a time in the ancient world, after the Nephilim were erased in divine judgment, when evil found a new seed through a man named Ham, the third son of Noah. But what Ham did to his own father was so vile and so spiritually twisted that it sparked a curse that would haunt one of his dynasty for eternity. Because before Israel ever stepped into the promised land,
So you guys remember seeing that part, right? I showed you guys. This is that section right here. Genesis, I believe, Genesis 9, if I'm not mistaken. We were just there. And God gave his blessing to Noah and his sons and said, be fertile and have increase and make the earth and make the earth full, right? So, he tells him that right there. And then he says to him, hold on a second, where we at? But we combined agreement. Noah's descendants. Okay, he goes right here. And it says Genesis 9:19. These three were the sons of Noah, and from them all the earth was peopled. In those days Noah became a farmer, and he made a vine garden, and he took his wine of it and was overcome by drink and was uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father unclothed and gave news of it to his two brothers outside. Now, I'm using a different translation right now, just to make it simple. I'll even show you KJV. Now, KJV 9:22, look how it says it, right? It says, and Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father. Now, typically back in those ancient times, if you saw somebody like that, it's because you were like having sex and shit. So I'm not going to say that that's what Canaan did. I don't know, bro. Some people supposedly say that, but I don't know. Can't say that. So we'll just say that for now, that's what happened, right? And that's what happened. So let's go.
the land was already claimed by ancient entities so dark, God forbid his people from even speaking their names. And what the Canaanites did in secret is going to shock you, because we are going to expose the secrets of the spirits they served, the ones that still haunt and lure those who believe in the God of the Bible. You've heard the story before. A man named Noah, a great flood, a family spared to restart the world. But after the flood, when the waters receded and the new earth dried beneath their feet, something else was born. Not a new beginning, but a curse, a dark legacy that would echo for thousands of years and end in the annihilation of an entire people. It all began with one man, Ham, the third son of Noah. In the Bible, we're told that after coming out of the ark, Noah planted a vineyard, but when he drank too much of it, he became drunk, and he slept naked. However, Ham happened to see the nakedness of his father, and he went to tell his brothers, who came and dressed his father. But that line has haunted scholars for centuries, because the phrase doesn't just mean seeing someone without clothes. In ancient Hebrew, seeing someone's nakedness can imply dishonor, shame, or something even more disturbing. Some rabbis believed Ham mocked his father. Others believed he castrated him, but others say that he violated a boundary far darker than we're allowed to speak of aloud, which is having relations with his mother. Whatever it wasn't just a mistake, it was rebellion, a violation against the man God had chosen to restart the world. And so, when Noah was informed about it, the Bible says he immediately knew about it, and he pointed directly a curse towards Ham's last child, who happened to be Canaan, which raises the question, why Canaan? Because whatever Ham did that day, it planted a seed, a spiritual mutation, a fracture in the bloodline. And from that seed would come a civilization so corrupt, so violent, so morally decayed, that God would later command, do not spare even their children. So this wasn't just about land. It wasn't about politics. It was about a rotting tree growing from cursed roots. The Canaanites would become known not just for idolatry, but for something deeper. Ritual child sacrifice, sexual deviance tied to temples, and practices so dark, even their gods were seen as monsters. And it is no wonder why these children of Canaan, with the twisted DNA from same blood-related people, became a race known to bring giants with mutated hands, teeth, and bodies. These were among the Canaanites that David and his soldiers killed during the struggle of Israel against the 7 Canaanite nations. But here's the twist. The Canaanites weren't destroyed overnight. God waited. He gave them hundreds of years, generations, prophets, warnings, and still they fell deeper.
And that is true, family. That's what I wanted to point out. So check this out. Let's bring this to the fact, because you need to know. It's historical stuff, man. All right, so if you go into Wisdom of Solomon 12, you'll start seeing exactly what he's talking about. God gave them a chance. God gave everybody a chance. Wisdom of Solomon 12:1, it says, "For thine incorruptible spirit is in all things." That's talking about the Creator. Right? So you may be very corrupt. That doesn't mean God can't work with you. Therefore, chasten thou them little by little that offend, and warneth them by putting them in remembrance wherein they have offended, that leaving the wickedness they may believe on thee, O Lord. Now, this is before he chose Abraham from the seed of Shem again, okay? "For it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of thy holy land, whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcraft and wicked sacrifices." So these are the same people that Joshua went in with the other Israelites to conquer those lands. These are the same people that that went over there, right? And they saw them, they compared themselves to grasshoppers. That's why he's saying that they were huge people. Like, who typically is tall like that? "Whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcraft and wicked sacrifices. And also they're merciless murderers of children." He was talking about that. "And devourers of men's flesh, and the feast of blood." Then it says, "With their priest out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help." Now, I'm going to take you through a quick different translation so you can see. Hold on, let me see the New Oxford, that one. Okay, so check this out, fam. In the New Oxford translation, you're gonna find here. Let me show you which one it is. The New Oxford Annotated Bible with Apocrypha, New Revised Version. Right. I use this every now and then just to kind of look at other translations. It's not bad, to be honest with you. Oh, right on the spot, man. Oh, thank you, Lord. Appreciate you for that. So here's Wisdom of Solomon 12, what we were reading, right? And look at the translation. Look how it says it here. Wisdom of Solomon 12, verse 1. "For your immortal spirit is in all things," right? So the other one was uncorruptible. "Therefore you correct little by little those who trespass." So like, for example, you and I. He was correcting these Canaanites. This was before he chose Abraham. Keep that in mind. "And you remind and warn them of the things through which they sin, so that they may be freed from wickedness and put their trust in you, O Lord." This is the Most High giving repentance to these Canaanites. So before you go and say, listen, God gave everybody a chance. It's completely impossible for you guys to comprehend or wrap your mind around the fact that he may just have a favorite. And more I'm seeing it, as I'm more and more seeing other things that I missed. Then it says, "Therefore you correct little by little those who trespass, and you remind and warn them of the things through which they sin." Like he was saying, he gave them basically 400 years. Because remember, Abraham went into the land, and the Most High said to Abraham, "Nope." Well, he didn't say it to him exactly, but it's like, "Nah, this is going to be your land, but not you. The seed that's coming is going to be your land." That's why Moses. That's why Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Genesis 17. Like, I'll show you. In Genesis 17, for that purpose. The purpose of the tamarisk or tamarindo tree is kind of like a gift for your future, generation. I think it's this one. Hold on. Give me a second. Is it this one? Is it how you spell it? No, you know what? Let me do this translation. Hold on. Tamarisk. There he goes. Genesis 21. So here we see, then Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba and worshiped the Lord, the everlasting God. Abraham lived in Philistia for a long time. So here's where we start. Now he's a treaty with Abimelech. Now he's there in the land, right? So I'm just I'm getting ahead because now he has Isaac and all that stuff. So I don't want to get too far into what I'm talking about, but like this is what we start seeing the actual connection between, Abraham, right? So Abraham, he knew that his seed wasn't going to be in that land because the Israelites were in Egypt. Keep that in mind. All right. And then they leave Egypt, and then that Joshua comes in. So that's all that time frame, like 400 years. The Most High said, hey, I'm going to give you a chance. But they didn't listen. Those who lived long ago in your holy land, long ago, you hated for their detestable practices, their works of sorcery, unholy riots, their merciless slaughter of children, and sacrificial feastings of human flesh and blood. Today, this day, in these days with us now, where, in this land of America, we hear about these things happening. Listen, this is where it caught my attention. These initiates. From the midst of the heathen cold. Do you realize what it's talking about? Who uses the initiates? Masonry. Check this out. These parents who murder helpless lives, who will to destroy by the hands of our ancestors. Who you willed it to destroy by the hands of our ancestors, so that the land most precious of all to you might receive a worthy colony of the servants of God. But even these you spared, since they were but mortals, and sent wasps. See, he kept warning the Canaanites as forerunners of your army to destroy them little by little. Though you were not unable to give the ungodly into the hands of the righteous in battle, or to destroy them at one blow by dread, wild animals, or your stern word, but judging them little by little, you gave them an opportunity to repent. Though you were not unaware that their origin was evil, and their wickedness inborn. That's Genesis 9, and that their way of thinking would never change. Because why? Because again, we went to Genesis 9, and the first thing that occurred was what? He drank. When Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father, when Ham, the father of Canaan, and he was cursed. A curse on Canaan. Because remember, keep in mind that Jubilees emphasizes and says that, yo, man, matter of fact, here, look. So Jubilees 10, after the whole, division, explains that Ham didn't go into his whole land. Jubilees 10:28, and Ham and his sons went into the land which he was to occupy, which he acquired as his portion in the land of the south. And Canaan saw that the land of Lebanon to the river Egypt, that it was very good. And he went not into the land of his inheritance to the west, that is to the sea, West Africa. And he dwelt in the land of Lebanon, eastward and westward, from the borders of Jordan and from the borders of the sea. Who's still claiming to be fucking Israelites, bro? Seriously. It's you guys again. Here we see that your father's like, yo, and your brother, bro, you need to stop. And you don't listen. So anyhow, that's how you're there. All right. Now that we got a little history, let's continue.
This wasn't just judgment, this was a pattern, and that pattern may not be over, because as we'll soon see, the same spiritual sickness that destroyed Canaan, it didn't die, it just moved. And in the next chapter, we'll trace its footsteps all the way to our modern age. But these weren't just ordinary people living in ancient cities. The Canaanites built temples on mountain heights, not for worship, but for something far more sinister. At the heart of their culture was child sacrifice. Parents, with their own hands, laid infants on burning altars dedicated to gods like Moloch and Baal. Drums would pound loud enough to drown out the screams, so the priests could carry out the ritual without guilt or hesitation. They didn't just kill, they celebrated it. But it gets darker. They practiced cultic prostitution, where women and even children were forced to serve as temple slaves, their bodies traded in rituals to appease these so-called gods.
These so-called gods, right? So, let me tell you something real quick. Deuteronomy 18 talks about that and specifically even tells the Israelites not to be fucking around with these nations, right? But anyways, they never listen. It says here, Deuteronomy 18:10, don't sacrifice your children in the fire on your altars. And don't let your people practice divinations or look for omens or use spells or charms. And don't let them consult the spirits of the dead. Then it says the Lord your God hates people who do these disgusting things. That is why he is driving those nations out of the land as you advance. He's talking about Canaan, right? Be completely faithful to the Lord. So here we see, once again, going back to the history of these people, what the hell they were doing. Abominable practices. He's like, don't do what Canaan does. Look, lowland desire. This is, I'm not even making it up. It's like literally right there. Okay? But that's not all. In Timbuktu, right? Because again, we want to go pinpoint and don't assume, make assumptions and shit, and accuse people of something they're not. I don't want to do that. I want to give you your title, what you deserve, what you call yourselves. It says here on the book from Babylon to Timbuktu, and it says on page 106, the Canaanites and the Phoenicians in Africa. Now I want you to pay attention to the Phoenician name. I need you to pay attention to the Phoenician name. You want to know why? Because we're going to find out later on about how some people are claiming to be somebody else that they're also not. But hey, you know what? It don't matter to them. So I want to bring that thought and say, oh, so you think there are those people? Oh, so then you are confirming you are Canaanites. The Canaanites and the Phoenicians in Africa, language which is called Hebrew Phoenicians or Canaanite, was employed in the lands called Phoenicia, Palestine, or Canaan over 1,000 years before the Arameans, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob came to Canaan. Now, do you understand why it was important to read Jubilees? Because you're going to have people that don't know the Bible or don't even read. Fuck saying don't know the Bible. They just don't read and they don't know how to connect the dots, right? And they're just like, hey, that land belonged to Canaan. They found it first. No, fuckface. The Most High had already scheduled what needed to be done, bro. This piece of shit Canaanites, y'all don't listen. You're hard-headed. You get what I'm saying? You want what's not yours. You're so envious. It's the nature of Canaan. So here we see a confused individual, but at the same time claiming to be those people. So watch this. The language, which is called Hebrew Phoenician or Canaanite, was employed in the lands called Phoenicia, Palestine, or Canaan for over 1,000 years before the Arameans, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob came to Canaan. So he's basically saying he's above God. All right. Even though we just read thoroughly what occurred in those lands. Then it says the Israelites lost their Aramaic language. Okay. Let's slow this down. The Israelites lost their Aramaic language. So that means they were Aramean, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Keep that in mind. And adopted the Hebrew speech of the Canaanites. Right? But that's not really true. That's not true. But let's continue. Because check this out. Aramaic. I mean, what was the original language? The Bible speaks of that the original tongue was what? Hebrew. So what are you talking about? He's speaking before the Tower of Babel here, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like he's not paying attention to the Tower of Babel or where everything occurred. So now we see the Israelites lost their Aramaic language and adopted the Hebrew speech of the Canaanites. Total bullshit. Hold on a second. Hold on, not you. Hold on. It's a lie. We just read it clearly. Now it says the Hebrew Phoenician merchants from the city of Sidon and Tyre, controlled the trade along the Mediterranean coast for more than 1,000 years before there were any economic treaties made with the Israelites. The Hebrew-speaking Phoenicians, Canaanites, established the greatest city, Carthage, a Tunis in North Africa. It says all the Canaanites were black. Hold on, sorry. Wrong button. Repeat it. All the Canaanites were black. Before the Phoenicians established a colony, Carthage in Africa, many Hebrew-speaking Canaanites had migrated across northern Africa. I mean... Okay, sounds good. So let me just bring this out so then we can understand what he's talking about. And we're gonna leave it there with this guy. But here we see from chapter 2, page 6 of Leo Africanus' famous book, he's talking about the origin of the people of Africa. Now, you guys can go ahead and take a snapshot of this picture here, of this page. Go ahead, hold on. Go ahead. And then I'm going to skip and read a good portion on the bottom. But here, basically on the top, it's saying that, hey, people assume that the Africans was this and Africans was that and yada, 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 right? Then he goes to the middle part and it says, all which opinions and reports are to be understood only of the original of the Tani people, right? So all the confusion about who, like, certain people are like, nah, Tani people, maybe those light-skinned ones mixed bloodline shit, right? That is to say, of the new Numidians and Barbarians. So he's like, those are not from Africa. For all the Negroes, listen to this. This is a man from the 1600s, okay? He was actually, no, I lied. This was printed in the 1600s, but he lived through the time of our demise, 1492. He was alive in those times, okay? For all the Negroes, or blackamoors, take their descent from Cush, the son of Cam or Ham, who was the son of Noah. Remember? Noah, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. But whatsoever difference between the Negroes and the Tani Moors, certain it is that they all had one beginning. Listen to this. For the Negroes all descended from the Philistines, and the Philistines of Mizraim, the son of Cush. But the Tani Moors fetched their pedigree from the Sabeans. And it is evident that Sabah was begotten of Ramah, which was the eldest son of Cush. Divers other opinions there be of touching this matter, which, because they seem not so necessary, we have purposely omitted. So he goes deep into the history of Africa. Now, some people, by the way, I don't know why are they getting this fucking concept, because I can really debunk that bullshit, but they try to say that this Leo Africanus was a weddle. I mean, I guess that would be a good excuse.
Oh, no, he's a white guy. That's why he's saying that shit.
Hey, what up, Julio? Good to have you here, bro. But this is what we see, right? Here we confirm that the Canaanites were all black. And then here we confirm that Cush is a son of Ham. And in the Bible, it talks about that, hey, you know, the son of Ham had certain people. So let's go back a little bit and kind of pick up where we left off.
They celebrated it, but it gets darker. They practiced cultic prostitution, where women and even children were forced to serve as temple slaves, their bodies traded in rituals to appease these so-called gods. Every harvest, every drought, every season of war, blood was shed to keep the gods happy. But this didn't happen overnight. God saw it coming centuries earlier. In fact, in Genesis 15, God tells Abraham, "Your descendants will return here, but not yet, because the sin of the Amorites has not yet reached its full measure."
You see, that includes also the land of Canaan. Because remember, all the Canaanites, those 11 tribes, or 7 tribes, I'm sorry. He says 11 here, but it should be 7. Hey, let's go.
In other words, God gave them time, 400 years, 4 centuries to repent, but instead they dug deeper into darkness. By the time Joshua crossed the Jordan, their sin had overflowed.
You see, a lot of people focus on, I would say it like this: the Israelites, they were in slavery for 400 years. Okay, what occurred throughout that time with other people? And this was occurring at that time in the land of Israel, or so-called Israel. Right? We're in the preferred land of the Creator. 400 years, these people were given a chance to repent. That's why I have said it to other brothers, man. I was like, yo, listen, I think the Most High gave everybody a chance to repent, bro. Because look this scripture and look that scripture. And they're like, yep, you're right. Here's one example. Before you guys go and believe Christianity and shit, like, God gave everybody a chance already, bro. And all these nations didn't want to listen. Let's go.
Like a cup so full, it spilled across the land. That was when judgment came. And this wasn't hidden, because these rituals became their festivals, their laws, their identity. So when God told Israel not to spare even the children, it wasn't because the children were guilty. It was because the disease of this culture infected every layer, every generation. If spared, the future would only grow darker.
And, you know, as I was watching this video, man, I'm like, fuck, bro. This is already here. Like, all the shit that they were, you know, considering as gods, it's back again. Through the Druids, Freemasons, all that crazy Illuminati shit, Kabbalah practitioners, like mystical magicians and, you know, alchemists, all of that crazy stuff, bro. So-called mentalists. I'm telling you, man, this shit is here again.
But here's the problem. What happens when the world forgets this warning? When we look at the Canaanites and think, that was ancient, that could never happen again. We're blind to the signs already repeating in our world today, because the moment we start calling evil good, we may be closer to the fire than we think. The command sounds brutal. Destroy everything that breathes, men, women, even children. To the modern reader, it feels like genocide, an ancient barbaric horror commanded by a supposedly loving God. But here's the truth. It wasn't what it looked like. In the ancient Near East, this kind of language, utterly destroy, leave no one alive, wipe them out, was standard military rhetoric. It's what we might call wartime hyperbole. Even today, we say things like, that team absolutely destroyed their opponents.
This video makes a great point, because as you're reading the Bible, you also, like, you know, he confirms it, because, you know, you read it, and Ramah, who helps Joshua and the other 2 people, or the people that was with him, you know, she's a Canaanite, and she survived. So when he said utterly destroy all of them, he didn't mean completely destroy them, like submit them to fucking this, like, you know what I'm saying, to that point where they're that's it. Let's go.
Do we mean literal destruction? Of course not. We mean total dominance. In Joshua 10, the Bible says the Israelites wiped them out, but it immediately says survivors fled into fortified cities. If they were wiped out, how did anyone survive? Because the language wasn't literal. It was military. It meant defeated, not exterminated. And here's what most people miss. Even in these so-called conquests, many Canaanites were spared. Like Rahab, the prostitute from Jericho, who...
Hey, but you know what I find so weird? This kind of side point, but not really, man, because we need to dissect this stuff. I find it so interesting that in Numbers 31, okay, because it says vengeance on the Medians, all right? In this chapter, you see that, you know, they go to war, okay? And here we start seeing the captives, or things that they the spoils of war, okay? So I want to read this with you, because even though it's weird, he didn't require this of the Canaanites. So let's follow here. Moses and Eleazar did what the Lord commanded. Keep that in mind. Moses and Eleazar did what the Lord commanded, which is the following. The following is a list of what was captured by the soldiers. In addition to what they kept for themselves, 675,000 sheep and goats, 72,000 cattle, 61,000 donkeys, and 32 virgins, okay? Keep this in mind. The half share of the soldiers was 337,500 sheep and goats, of which 675 was a tax for the Lord, meaning the Lord had to get you needed to sacrifice 600 of those mofos. Like all of these right here, 675 goes to the Lord. That means you burn that thing. You burn it, right? Were the tax for the Lord. 36,000 cattle for the soldiers, of which 72 were taxed for the Lord. 30,500 donkeys for the soldiers, of which 61 taxed for the Lord. Now pay attention to this. And 16,000 virgins for the soldiers, of which 32 were taxed for the Lord. So Moses gave Eleazar the tax as a special contribution to the Lord, and the Lord, as the Lord had commanded. So here we see that the Israelites sacrificed 32 virgins by fire, just like to Moloch and shit, for the Lord. So now, he didn't ask for that with the Canaanites. Now, I'll tell you this. Is this the reason why you have religions that are sacrificing for the Lord? Because you don't see no precepts on this, or referencing of a verse or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what blew my mind. When you get to this point, no reference. Here you get a reference, like booty, right? Talking about the booty. And then it says here, it doesn't even talk about that. Does it talk about that? I think I read. No, it doesn't. Then you click here. No references of verses. No references of verses. No references of verses. No references of verses. Now, if you read it in KJV, right? Here's what it says here. Verse 38. And the beeves were 32 and 6,000. Of the Lord's tribute was 33 scores and 12. Asses. Oh, here it goes. Verse 40. And the persons were 16,000, of which the Lord's tribute was 32 and 2 persons. Were Israelites burning people to the Lord? and the persons attribute to the Lord. What is a tribute to the Lord? All of a sudden, we're going to forget now. Is it translation, transliteration? Are we reading something incorrect, or are we reading really seriously reading what he wanted the Israelites to do?
Who joined Israel and was protected, like the shocking story of the Gibeonites, who made peace and were absorbed into the community, meaning that even though they were Canaanites, God still accepted them because of their repentance. This wasn't random violence. It wasn't blind rage. It was divine surgical judgment, targeting specific military threats and spiritual corruption. But still, a deeper question remains. Why would God order killing at all? This is where most people walk away from faith. They read these stories and think, a God of love would never do that. But let's step back. If a virus spreads in a city, do we not quarantine the infected to protect the healthy? If a predator enters a school, do we not use force to stop him? We don't call that cruelty. We call it justice, mercy for the innocent. But most people don't realize the spirit of Canaan never left. It's still in the world, just hiding in what people worship today. The names have changed, but the gods haven't, because some of these demons that they worshipped were subordinates to the ruling princes of darkness. For example, in demonology, Molech, the Canaanite god of fire and child sacrifice, is a demon who operates under Mammon, the god of riches, directly due to blood price worship, which mirrors exactly how most modern celebrities are suspected of doing in order to get their success. This includes worshipping Ishtar, mother goddess of fertility, sex, war, who was created by her communion with...
You know, this is why I always had a problem with this verse. Let me show you. Wait, hold on. Is it how you spell Mammon? Mammon? I think that's how you spell it. Yeah. This is why I had a problem with this verse. Luke 16:9 in the New Testament, in the four Gospels, and one of them is Luke's. Luke 16:9 says, "And I say to you, make yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness, that when ye fall, they may receive you into everlasting habitation." What the fuck? You see, when I was younger, man, I would try to take things for face value and shit. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay. And I said, okay, fine. I'm getting older. Now that I'm getting older, I'm starting to see things for what they are. And I'm like, wait, hold on a second, bro. What the fuck? Now you want me to make friends with these demons and shit? Like,
with male...
Are we doing some, like, demonology? Like, you know what?
In order to get their success. This includes worshipping Ishtar, mother goddess of fertility, sex. How most modern celebrities are suspected to... Molech, the Canaanite god of fire and child sacrifice, is a demon who operates under Mammon, the god of riches, directly due to blood price worship, which mirrors exactly how most modern celebrities are suspected of doing.
Why would this verse, considering that Mammon wants sacrificial shit, and he was doing it with the Canaanites, right? Why would then all of a sudden, hey, I say to you, make yourselves friends of the Mammon of unrighteousness, that when ye fall, they, not other people, they may receive you into everlasting habitation? It's almost like when you start when you pay attention to people in society and they say, oh, look at the messages in media. Disney puts hidden messages. Is this one of them?
In order to get their success. This includes worshipping Ishtar, mother goddess of fertility, sex, war, who was created by her communion with male duke in hell, who was once a goddess, changing his gender. But
hear that? A god is changing his gender. You know why that's so interesting and shit? I'm gonna tell you why that's so interesting. Because I don't want to forget about this book. I don't want to forget. So here we see this book called, hold on. Yahweh and the gods of Canaan. The gods. The gods. Hold on. What's going on, bro? Don't mess with me like that. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on a second, family. All right, so I'm going to look for something real quick here, okay? All right, so check this out. In this page here of the gods of Canaan, one of the Canaanite religion, one of the mythological, I guess, gods you could say of Canaan, on page 129, let's see if it's this one. I think it's this one, okay? Hold on. Yeah, this is it. Extensive mythological material of Canaanite origin is to be found in the great Egyptian magical collection from the 19th dynasty. The most striking of the Canaanite myths of Anat, preserved in Egyptian dress, runs as follows. Now, I want to say this to you guys. You that claim to be Israelites. You also claim to be these people. You can't be Shem and then Ham at the same fucking time. You can't say, oh, yeah, we Africans, and then all of a sudden you're Israelites. No, shut the fuck up. It don't work like that, man. The most striking of the Canaanite myths of Anat, preserved in the Egyptian dress, runs as follows. Anat was bathing on the shore of the sea, and Hamkat, Baal, or Seth, went for a walk and raped her. Okay, so Baal raped the girl. Hold on a second. Leaping her as a sacred ram. What? Of Amun. Leaping her as the sacred ram leaps. Like he's like, doggy style type of shit. Forcing her as a whatever forces, as an animal, beast forces, or as as an engine forces the tube to go through without the lubricant or some crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? It almost seems like it's trying to say like he really pounded her. Baal fell ill because of this, right? But Anath came unexpectedly to his rescue. So after he raped her practically and ripped her a new one, he feels bad. You know what I mean? You know that whole typical fucking abusive attitude, like, oh, I love you. I hate you. I love you. I'm sorry. It's your fault. You know, it's kind of like that weird psycho shit. You know what I'm saying? So, and then Anath, the victorious, hold on, this is where it gets interesting. The victorious, a man-like woman, dressed as a man, but girded as a woman. Damn. Went to the sun god. Her father, I wonder, girded. I wonder if, okay, so dressed as a man, but like, she don't got no, you know what I'm saying? And went to the sun god, her father, replied at some length, stressing Baal's folly and ending. It is punishment for his folly, since he, whatever, had intercourse with her in fire and raped her with a chisel. Damn. Like a blade or some shit. Kind of like what you would see in that movie 7, right? Where the guy like rapes this woman with a chisel, like a knife. It's horrible, man. That's a horrible scene, but it seems to like, I don't know, bro. This is crazy. The chisel of Anat appears in another magical text. So here we see, though, the concept that this person was like a man, woman like. The presence of Baal has been recognized as a man-like goddess with slender, uncurved body in female dress, but fully armed. It's basically talking about the same thing, right? Hold on.
Sex, war, who was created by her communion with male duke in hell, who was once a goddess, changing his gender. But what if the sins of Canaan aren't ancient history, but present-day headlines? The child sacrifice that once burned on bronze altars doesn't always look like ritual anymore. It wears a suit. It hides behind silence. It thrives in trafficking, in exploitation, in the unseen abuse of the innocent. The worship of fertility gods Today, it's the obsession with hypersexuality in media, in marketing, in how we define human worth.
Who is pushing that? Let's go.
Canaanite temples were filled with ritual prostitution. Now, our temples are screens, but the spirit behind it is hauntingly familiar. And when a society begins calling evil good and good evil, when it redefines marriage, mocks truth, and glorifies pride, that's not progress, that's regression. Regression into something older, darker, something we've seen before under the name Canaan. But Jesus warned that, as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the coming of the Son of Man. And those days of Noah, they were days of Nephilim, days of unrestrained evil, and Canaan was born in its shadow. But now, the same God who told Israel to fight with swords, now asks you to fight with light. You are not called to hate, you are called to resist darkness by becoming a beacon of truth, because the story isn't over.
So it says. Now that we got that out the way, okay, so we understand Ham's curse, the way Ham and his children move, the gods that they are used to, the over-sexualization of their nature. I'm not saying that. He said that. Now, I'm going to show you something here. Thank you, sis, for sending me this. Because it's like, yo, I mean, I guess it's true, but then that means, check this out, fam. I'm gonna show you a video. I'm gonna show you a video right now. Like, they're even going after the gringos and shit. So this is a book called Phoenician Ireland, written in 1833. Okay, so I have the one written in 1837. I have some notes in there. But here's the thing: I'm not even going to read through the book. I just want you to pay attention. Let's stop trying to overthink shit. Phoenicians. Who are the Phoenicians? The Phoenicians are of the tribe of Ham. Excuse me. Here, I'll even look for it. Who were the Phoenicians? Right? Ethnically. Look, I'm just very simple. No complicated shit. And it says, the Phoenicians were an ancient Semitic people, primarily identified as descendants of the Canaanites. So they weren't Semitic. They were Hamitic. Stop lying. The Phoenicians are considered an ancient Hamitic group, closely related to the Canaanites. Hamitic. So Phoenician Ireland. So if these Phoenicians were Hamitic, like so-called black folks that consider themselves Hamitic, the books they write are Hamitic, like they say that. And then they're going to claim that they're also Irish, fam. Right. So this means that this is the seed of Ham. So you're admitting it. Because I think we missed the point. Here, let me see if I got something. So we see here, let's see, it kind of like, let me read it here. Where is this? Duarona, derived from the Phoenician word Duran, a wealthy people. Spain had an old city in the canton of Celtiberian called Duron, and the ruins of which are to be seen to this day. Right? Either from the Phoenician. So there is a Phoenician, look, was celebrated for idolatrous superstitions of the Druids. They're preeminently cultivated. It is derived from the Phoenician word, Lahabab, which I think this is where the whole Druidism, how it got there. So now, if this is you guys, okay, fine, sounds good. So that means you guys are the Hamitic people. That means you are Canaan. Because this gringo right here, he's like, yo, what the fuck, bro? Listen to this shit.
Black Celts Zero proof, a revisionist rant. The Celts are Africans. The Black Celts. The African substratum theory. Jesus Christ, the Afrocentrists are back in a world where history-starved grifters hijack every civilization on Earth. Egypt, Greece, the Celts. Apart from Africans in mud huts, those are conveniently ignored. From the DEI-crazed communist professors who'd claim Stonehenge's Neolithic builders were African nomads, comes a con so deranged, it'll gut history like an ancient aliens marathon. We was civilization Afrocentric theft. Now truth gets burned alive. Anyway, the Celts erupted from the iron-clad peaks and salt-hustling valleys of Central Europe, the Hallstatt and Laterne hotbeds of Austria, Switzerland, and southern Germany. They stormed into Britain and Ireland, stark naked and smeared in blue woad, their lime-spiked hair screaming death wish as they hacked foes to pieces with a glee that'd make a Roman legion piss himself. By the first millennium BC, Britain's tribes were hosting rowdy shindigs with vagabonds from the Rhine and France, a historian's dainty way of saying they'd wine and dine any scruffy wanderer before trading swords or sweet nothings. When Rome crashed the party, the Greeks called them Keltoi, the Romans Galli, and Caesar, that pompous git, slapped on whatever name made his battles sound like a triumph. Same lot, brash, fearless, and too damn wild for trousers, hospitality or not. And yet, somehow, this saga's been hijacked by revisionist.
That right there, man. That right there. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? The history of the Black Celts and the Vikings of Britain were the original Vikings. And Celts black and or African. What do you guys think? I mean, does it even make sense to be even talking about that shit? Let's continue.
Nutters peddling a Celtic fantasy with all the historical truth of a sloshed bard's yarn at a Samhain feast. In the Black Celts, the African substratum theory, Ibrahim Ali blusters that new research techniques have confirmed Bob Quinn's Atlantean theory. These islands were cosmopolitan, composed of people who...
The Atlantean, meaning they're all connected at one point, and then they oh God, fuck, man, let's go.
Who had more in common with the people of Northwest Africa and the southern Mediterranean. Yet Ali never names these new techniques, just regurgitating Quinn's 1980s guff about music, art, and boats sounding vaguely North African. No peer-reviewed study, DNA, or link.
Here's the thing. I agree with you. So that's why I'm bringing this up, right? I'm bringing this up because if if they ruled, or if they were up there, I have a book. Check it out. It's called Phoenician Ireland. But then that means they know that they're Hamites. That's what I'm saying. You're claiming that you were up there, so that means you know that you're a fucking Hamitic tribe. Stop bullshitting. This is from 1833. Like the one I got is from 1837. I just actually found this one. Figured I'll show it anyways, because I'm not going to read much of this anyways. I just wanted to show you. You guys are more than welcome to get the book. It's not that long. It's 416 pages and shit. You know what I'm saying? So just take your time, read through it. Or kind of scan through, look for some words, whatever. The point being is you need to understand exactly if they want to take credit for that history, then that means that you are Hamitic people. And stop the fucking cap. And stop the fucking cap. And try to steal other people, like heritage and shit. You're claiming them, but at the same time, you ain't claiming them. You ain't fooling me. Fuck that.
Linguistics backs this tripe pure fantasy, served with a side of delusion. From there, the drivel snowballs. Ali bleats that the Gaels and Cymri spoke an African language that most likely belonged to the Hamito-Semitic family, and that the Celts are Africans. In this bonkers delusion, most Irish, Welsh, and Scots are under the illusion that they are Celts, a fake identity invented by 18th and 19th century academics. The book even claims Iron Age Britons show a close affinity with the African Guanches, Copts of Egypt, Pompeians, and the Etruscans. Obviously not Celts. Older pseudo-historians stoke the same rot. J.A. Rogers once scrawled that there were Negroes in Britain before Julius Caesar, that the Siluras of Wales were of Phoenician or Egyptian descent, and that the word Moor always means Negro. Modern Afrocentrists parrot this tosh.
Or doesn't always mean Negro, but let's continue. Not the Negro concept that they have, living in like woolly hair and dark skin, looking like West Africans.
Online, as if Celtic chariot riders swapped war tips with Saharan camel jockeys. But when we ditch the self-published drivel for cold, hard science, the Afrocentric mirage implodes. Genetic data from ancient British and Irish skeletons show around 2500 BC, the Beaker people arrived from continental Europe, carrying a mix of steppe and Neolithic ancestry. They replaced over 90% of the local population, Europeans replacing early.
I'm showing this video because I think it's important for you to see the angle that they're using on them, and then you're going to see how it kind of like brushes on our end. Let's go.
Farmers whose distant DNA traced back to Anatolia, not Africa. Later migrations from the lower Rhine shaped what would become the genetic base of the Celtic world. Later Rhine migration.
Thing that bothers me, family, it's like, yo, y'all want to accept DNA when it's convenient. You can't fucking do that, man. Like, you can't believe in certain parts of science and then say, nah, I don't believe in science. But I tell you what, bro, if you were facing a fucking case, and you have to prove that it wasn't you, you would submit yourself to a DNA test. But that's believable. Only when you're so fucking scared. But none of this matters, right? History, DNA don't apply to history though, right? That's why I ask you on this side of the aisle that say, we ain't Hebrews. So, and you believe in science and shit because you say you bring up science. Scholarly people, sometimes they do that shit. So then I ask them, well, they see my DNA, and my DNA says that they can trace my shit back all the way to 2,000 years. And then on top of that, they can then trace my father's bloodline to a particular origin, which matches what I believe, right? Yet, that's not good enough. So it's like, okay, what is good enough? This goes for even our people and every fucking idiot out there. I'll show you guys I've showed my DNA before. I'll show you guys my DNA, samples. And it shows that I've been here for 2,000 years plus. I know this for a fact, but that's as far as they can trace. And then it puts me right smack bottom through that space of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And to this day, ain't nobody coming to my channel proving that they can even come close to what I show. They sure as hell like to talk shit. Well, if you want to believe all of that, then I guess, I don't believe in no creator, man. And I'm giving power to people. And quite frankly, I don't believe that. I don't give that power to people like that. Nor do I give power to spirits. So yeah, your DNA. Yeah, people told me that shit. They've told me that. They're your DNA in a bag now. They're ready to replace you. Blah blah blah. Nah, bro. If this is true, I'll give you because nobody can prove it. That you're that you can be an Israelite. Nobody can prove it. But if it's true, shit. You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
Migrations created the Celtic gene pool. A 2022 study smashes the nail in the coffin. We identify a large-scale migration into Britain during the Middle to Late Bronze Age with the source in the Lower Rhine. No sub-Saharan DNA in Iron Age or medieval graves. Zilch. Archaeology confirms this. Danebury, Dinas Powys and Tara's hill forts brim with European metals, pots and torques, not Sahara trinkets, as if Celtic chieftains would swap their shiny neck torques for some Timbuktu tat. So who were the Celts? They were Europe's storytellers, tribes whose art, myth and language still live on in the culture of Ireland and Brittany. And who were they not? Not some African clan, not a wandering Hamitic mob, and definitely not the wet dreams of revisionist loons. No surprise some want to nick their glory. The Celts, the Welsh, Scots, English and Irish, tribes who, mixed with Anglo-Saxons, forged nations that birthed philosophy, science, exploration and empire. Basically,
now he's gonna get really white and shit, like, oh, we did this and we did that because we're white people. You know what I mean? It's still kind of in there with him.
Grab at Europe's story, and it always lands on the same daft punchline. We was Celts. We was chosen, the Afrocentric scripture swindle. This we was idea is wonderfully straightforward. Take the Bible, cross out the original characters, scribble your own name in the margins, and voila, divine ancestry. Enter William Saunders, Crowdy, ex-slave.
You guys a book about him. Hold on, let me see if I have the copy. Crowdy. Let me see. Crowdy. Crowdy. Alexander. Hold on. Alexander. Was this it? Nah, that's not it. I probably never saved it. Huh? Anyways, I've showed you guys this book. This is one of the dudes that started this shit, like, yeah, around the 1890s and shit. And he said he saw a vision. And all of a sudden, he created this religion about Israelites being black. Oh, and by the way, he's a Freemason.
Part-time preacher and full-time visionary who apparently woke up one glorious Kansas morning and decided that God had just sent him a spoiler alert. African Americans are the real Israelites. Out of all the nations in the desert, the Almighty apparently went, yes, Kansas, that's my spot. So Crowdy founded the Church of God and Saints of Christ, preaches a few barn-burning sermons, prints a few pamphlets, and poof, Israel is reborn somewhere between Topeka and the cornfields. You can almost hear Moses groaning, 40 years in the desert, and now a self-made prophet nicked my story. Next stop, Harlem. One generation later, Wentworth Arthur Matthew takes the baton, polishes it, and upgrades the nonsense. Robes, check scrolls, check historical evidence. Oh, don't be ridiculous. He solemnly assures his followers, black Jews were the original Jews, white Jews were the descendants of the fabled Khazar kingdom. With one flourish, Europe's Jews become late-stage converts, Africa turns into the promised land, and reality quietly gathers its belongings and slips out the back door. Then come the 1960s, a decade of incense, afros, and spontaneous prophecy. Enter Ben Ami Ben Israel, Chicago steelworker by day, self-declared messiah by, well, lunch. Having decided the factory floor lacks sufficient apocalypse, he rallies hundreds and leads them into the Negev desert. When you're founding a new civilization, why not start somewhere designed to cook both your sandals and your sanity? He declares, we must question every facet of existence under Euro-Gentile domination. All things must be brought to the sons of God for naming and renaming. Which is theological shorthand for, we've stolen the crayons and now we're redrawing the map. But our man Ben Ami isn't content with renaming things. No.
Speaking of which, let me show you this real quick, because this is interesting. I didn't do this report, but I did get access to it, so thank you whoever sent it to me. You are the Canaanites and Moabites. Again, I'm not calling you guys that. You guys do it yourselves. In this year of 2013 of this electrified age, much information has been made available to the masses of the world. Prophet Noble Drew Ali was the only leader that came and gave us the Moors of America, who are labeled with the false misnomers of black people, colored folks, Negroes, and African Americans. The true history of our great ancestry. I didn't do none of this stuff, by the way. The prophet said that there was still much wisdom for us to learn, and that if he told us everything, then that we would go right back to sleep. So we see here, okay, in this article, which I actually found it online, to be honest with you, fam. Check this out. Noble Drew Ali explains two portions of the history of the Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of the America, chapter 45 and 48. The prophet informs us that the inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites. Let me see that again. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Now, we've gone, if you've been here, or at least if you saw the beginning of the class, I took you guys through the process, Jubilees, Wisdom of Solomon, all of that stuff. His father Ham, what? His father Ham. Not Japheth, not Shem, his father Ham. Sorry, excuse me. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush, why? Why do you think? You see, this is where you start really seeing the, excuse me. See, they know what the fuck is going on. See, they fucking know, fam. They know. You guys know, bro. And you're just playing a game. They're playing games with you, fam. Straight up. Look, watch this real quick. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Hold it. Hold that thought. Old man Cush, his brother of Canaan, and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. No, that's a lie. Not from the land of Canaan. Not at all. Jubilees 9 and 1. And Ham divided among his sons. The first portion came forth for Cush towards the east. Here's where the Most High gives Ham a portion of land and says, divide his hire is going to be divided to your sons. The first lot goes to Cush. And Ham, this is again Jubilees 9 and 1. And Ham divided amongst his sons. The first portion came forth for Cush towards the east. The first people that he said that landed in Africa. See, I don't have to lie. You just have to read what they say about themselves. Just like the white man. Old man Cush and his family, the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came Ethiopia, to which means that that's the demarcation line of the dominion of Amaxim, the first true and divine name of Africa. Amaxim, I guess. The dividing of the land between the father and the son, the dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, northwest and southwest, was his father's dominion of Africa. Later, in many years of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. So hold on. How does this happen? How do you all of a sudden have brethren like that, where it's almost like as if, they hung out and we just ate them up? The Moabites from the land of Moab who received permission from Pharaoh of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. Really? I mean, I'd like to see that fucking source. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. So Moabites, okay? Now keep in mind where the origin of the nations came from and how everything split. Now it says, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Their dominions and habitations extended from the northeast and southwest Africa. See this? So let's go back. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the Pharaoh of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa, they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. With their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes, meaning they left after Joshua, the dominion and habitation extended, this is Canaan, from northeast and southwest Africa across Great Atlantis, okay, even onto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and Atlantis Islands. You see how you see this shit right here, bro?
Are you?
Wow. You see this right here? Before the great earthquake, which caused the great Atlantic Ocean, the river Nile was degraded. So, look, listen, I can continue to go, but at least now you can see where these guys are coming from, and how they want to, I guess you could say, I don't know, kind of like you're sitting on a table and you got chips in front of you and you just want to take more chips that don't belong to you and you just want to take and take. Now, all of a sudden, they want to include everything else. Central America and also Mexico. Like all of a sudden now, like we got Africans here and shit. You see what I'm saying? So like, but no, but let's stick to the point though. Because we're not gonna lose it today. We're gonna stick to the script. All right? We're almost done with this part.
No, he identifies the true villain. Liberal democracy poses the greatest threat to the continued existence of the human family. Well, perhaps he has a point with this one, but every numbskull can be right once or twice. His followers now see themselves as the righteous remnant, valiantly besieged by a wicked, Euro-Gentile civilization. Their pamphlets drip with end-times melodrama, part scripture, part revenge fan fiction, each page shrieking that the world must be turned upside down immediately, preferably before tea, and definitely before anyone asks for evidence. Pamphlets began fluttering about like confetti at a particularly delusional wedding. Headlines screamed, "Black Hebrews, the original people of the book." Pamphlets from the Church of God and Saints of Christ, and later the Commandment Keepers in Harlem, confidently proclaimed that archaeological discoveries have proven Abraham was a black man. Which discoveries? Ah yes, the famous Trust Me Bro tablets of Mesopotamia, the ones that don't name Abraham, don't show his face, and don't exist outside of pamphlets. Next, they wheel out poor Tacitus, kidnapped from the 1st century, and have him shout across 2 millennia that Jews were an Ethiopian race. Never mind context. Who needs that when you've got a highlighter and an agenda? Tacitus never described Jews as Africans. In Histories 5, he lists several rumours about their origin, one of which mentions Ethiopia. Citing that as proof is deliberate misreading. By the 1970s, this biblical improv troupe had set up shop on 1 West, 125th Street, complete with mega...
The same motherfuckers that were saying the world was going to end in 2000. Where is your black Jesus?
Wait a minute.
You said he'd be here by 2000.
Megaphones, militant sunglasses, and the subtlety of a fire alarm. Out came the declarations. White people are the offspring of Satan. Modern Jews are imposters, and the Book of Revelation is basically a Yelp review for the synagogue of Satan. They quote, they shout, they point at pedestrians. It's evangelism meets paramilitary cosplay. So the message is simple. Redemption isn't forgiveness. It's payback. Payback for what you may ask. Or giving them technology and civilization, I suppose. In their promised land, slavery makes a comeback, only with a new slave list. Every verse they quote sounds like they're filing a complaint with God. Dorman's chosen people shows something far less divine. an identity built from fragments of borrowed glory until the mirror finally smiled back and said, "We were Hebrews." When you failed DNA class but aced illusion, the Sumerian edition, the civilization of Sumer was not Asian at all, it was African. The black man carried the torch of culture from the Nile to the Euphrates. Kushite origins of Sumer and Elam, Dr. Yosef Ben Yochanan. We're told
always people that look like him, bro, that say shit like that the worst.
The Nile,
and they're like probably 50% white,
handed the torch to the Euphrates, a poetic image if you ignore the part where they're 2,000 kilometers apart and separated by deserts that kill caravans faster than modern Afrocentrism kills logic. Meanwhile, the real Sumerians, whoever they were busy building the blueprint for civilization. They mapped the stars, divided time into hours, they brewed beer, tracked the planets, and turned wet clay into the first libraries on Earth. Samuel Noah Kramer, an actual expert, not a YouTube oracle with a ring light, said Sumerian civilization came from earlier Mesopotamian peoples. But try explaining that to the modern mythographers. They open a textbook the way drunks open a fridge, searching for something that isn't there, but convinced they'll find it anyway. "Black-headed people," they cry, pointing at the translation like it's a DNA test. Never mind that black-headed meant dark hair, not melanin. By that logic, half of Europe was Sumerian too. By the late 20th century, Afrocentric theorists like Runa,
which, by the way, this guy also has used the... hold on, let me see if I have it. Deja ver. Look through it in my email. He uses the same DNA that I have to claim that that's the actual real Jews, but that it pertains to them. Okay, I'll show you. Give me a, let's see how much, 4 minutes. Oh, I got time.
Rashidi and Chancellor Williams declared that Sumer wasn't Mesopotamian at all, but African. Rashidi assured readers that there is a substantial body of evidence in support of the position that the civilization of Sumer was the product of black migrations from Africa's Nile Valley, adding that the black contribution was decisive and far overshadowed that of the later invaders. In his version, the Sumerians' description of themselves as the black-headed people was read like a birth certificate. They must have been one of the many Nilotic Kushite colonies established in early Asia. Apparently, whole nations were being franchised out of the Nile. Shame the archaeology refuses to cooperate. Archaeologist Georges Roux, in ancient Iraq, obliterated the theory with one line: there is no such thing as a Sumerian race, neither in the scientific nor in the ordinary sense of the term. Sumerian, he explained, means a language, not a bloodline. The appellation Sumerians should be taken as meaning Sumerian-speaking people and nothing else. All efforts to define and to assess the relations between Sumerians and Semites in other fields than philology are doomed to failure. Translation: stop being a dumbass. The skulls pulled from Sumerian graves show the usual Near Eastern mix, Armenoid and Mediterranean types. The statues, bearded, stylized, generic. As Roux noted, physical features depicted on monuments are largely conventional and have therefore no real value. Only a massive tool would think it's a portrait gallery. Really, it's symbolism carved in limestone. Even the language thinks these people are a bit slow. Sumerian is a linguistic orphan, a language isolate, agglutinative in structure, related to no known tongue, African or otherwise. Roux explains, the Sumerian language is agglutinative. Thompson and Hayes showed the same pattern, structurally closer to ancient Elamite or Hurrian than anything along the Nile. The grammar doesn't migrate, it stands alone. And then there's the DNA, the great equalizer. Studies by Lazaridis et al. 2022 and Scorteniotti et al. 2020 found that ancient West Asians formed a Neolithic continuum of ancestry mirroring the geography of West Asia, mixing Anatolian, Caucasus, and Levantine lineages, but not African ones. The earliest farmers in northern Iraq show the same pattern, as Haber et al. 2017 confirmed. Present-day Lebanese derive most of their ancestry from a Canaanite-related population, proving continuity, not invasion. The evidence couldn't be easier to see for someone with an IQ over 60. Sumer rose from West Asian soil. The builders of Ur were Mesopotamian farmers, not Nile colonists. Their art, their words, their bones, and now their genomes all say the same thing. They were homegrown. And yet here we are, 3 goddamn thousand years later, still listening to plebs chanting the same delusion. We was Sumerians.
You can see how this shit becomes annoying to other people. As we were listening to that stuff, I wanted to show you this real quick. Here is a article. I think this is the article of how this guy, the same guy, Clyde Winters, right? I believe that's his name. And he goes in here and says that the R1 DNA, that I belong to, it says the Black Native Americans live throughout the United States. So he's justifying the R1B shit here, and claiming that that's why that our native blood has that. It's funny, man. But it used to be the E1B, whatever that shit is, the other one, the funny one. All of a sudden now it's this one and shit. It doesn't stop. So let's continue.
Black American. Put some respect on my name.
Foundational, huh? That's funny. I must have missed the part where George Washington and the rest of the founding fathers were black guys.
Keep joking. History got layers you never read.
Man, listen, FBA doesn't flee. This is our homeland. We stood our ground through everything. Ain't no running.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Liberia still exists. Don't worry, one-way ticket to Monrovia on me.
Ah, my belly. Man, all you know how to do is flee. FBA don't flee.
You're welcome for the 600,000 white dudes that died to free you, by the way.
Man, what?
You might want to give your cousins in Nova Scotia a call.
We never came on no ships. We are the real Indians. My grandmother said it, and I'm saying it today.
Nice costume, pendejo. I think Halloween came a little early, don't you think?
Hey, man.
Hi, Mr. Nasheed.
You come from a failed homeland, sir.
But you're African, too.
I'm American, sir. I had my ethnogenesis. Matter of fact, we had an ethno-exodus and exited out that failed place. We got it popping over here, sir. We are the blueprint.
Everybody, gentlemen, they try to cosplay us. We will never let that happen. They not like us. Now come get your head feathers. We never cosplay.
You know what? Thank you, brother, for sending that. That shit is funny, though. I mean, it's kind of weirdo, but I mean, not weirdo, bad, but it's like, because there's a part, what was the part? Can't remember. It's just funny, bro. All right, so look, listen, your own gente is going to tell you, because apparently you don't like to hear from me. I'm going to speed it up, okay? Because you need to hear this shit.
Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Berean TV. I wanted to do this short video on the 12 tribes chart. About a year ago, I did a video on a series with Freemasonry and religion and how people, especially in the African American community, Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Berean TV. I wanted to do this short video on the 12 tribes chart. About a year ago, I did a video on a series with Freemasonry and religion and how people, especially in the African American community, have had knowledge or have been involved in Freemasonry. Black leaders like Noble Drew Ali that started the Moor Science Temple and gave y'all the Circle 7 Quran. He told y'all were Moors. Marcus Garvey told y'all that y'all were original Ethiopians. And y'all picked that up and people ran with that. Elijah Muhammad said y'all were from the lost tribe of Shabazz. Now we have we have recently what's known as the 12 tribe charts that a lot of people are using. You have Hebrew Israelites evangelizing with it. But I explained in that other video that I do construction. And those people that were moving like Freemasons and move with Masonic thought, they're considered builders. They were the ones that built the temples in Europe. And in scripture, the Apostle Paul calls himself in the epistles, he called himself a wise master builder. Now, I'm going to explain some things when you're coming into religion. You have tools. Like if I'm building a building, I would have a scaffold outside. But once the building is erect, the scaffold is not part of the building. And a lot of people that start dealing with religion and start dealing with spirituality and different spiritual systems, they seem to not understand that. So they're taking the 12 charts tribe and they're running with it. Historically speaking, people in the conscious community, that's how come they debate the Israelites. Historically speaking, any historian on the planet that holds a degree in history, what they speak about in academia, what they speak about in the halls of MIT and Yale and Harvard and Hofstra and all these colleges and universities is different than what you can just shoot to the average person in the street. A long time ago, I was talking with a white man, and this European gentleman said, you know, a lot of us Europeans feel that you black people don't know how to connect the dots. And I took offense to that. But when it comes down to it, we have to know certain things. If you know anything about the slave trade, what would make you think that the Hebrew Israelite chart is legit? I challenge anybody on that, and that's not to disrespect my Hebraic brothers. Shout out to them cats in GOCC, cats that's really holding to the doctrine, to the commandments and the statutes of God. That believe that they're Israel and are a chosen people and they're called. But I'm like the Apostle Paul. My prayer for Israel is, a lot of brothers that's running around here, y'all are not true Israelites. Y'all got hatred towards these white folk. Y'all obsessed with Edom, and y'all just want to tear something up. And the feds are watching. So y'all got to fall back with that. The 12 tribes chart historically is false, but it's used like a tool that people have other tools in religion to just bring the people up. What are we going to do with all this killing in Chicago, killing in the streets? I'm from Brooklyn, these young guys banging. What are we going to do with that? The trap life that so many of our people are involved in. You give them something to make them feel good. You give them a chart. You give them to America is Judah. That's the tribe of Judah. Y'all are coming. That's all madness. If you study the slave trade, it was black and brown on brown slavery. For the record, black people started slavery on the planet. Now, I know a lot of y'all gonna be upset with that, but that's the truth. Especially, come on, y'all. Elijah told y'all black man was the original man. Slavery's been around almost from the beginning of the human race. We've been doing this thing, and it's been black on black slavery, and we've been warring with each other over here. The Indians were warring with each other before they even met and started trading with the white man. They were already warring with each other. They were already killing. Some of y'all are trying to act like no killing came on the planet till the white man came on the set. And that's crazy. When Homer wrote the Iliad in 900, they said Alexander, Philip of Macedonia, they started running amok in 400 and 350 or whatever. But by that time, Egypt was already on a decline. Y'all people, you had y'all chance, Nubia, y'all were doing your thing. And you went crazy. Israel, look at your own history. Y'all were freed, y'all were delivered, y'all were in the wilderness, and then y'all had your promised land. Solomon built the temple. Y'all ran amok. The kingdom was split. Y'all went to Babylonian captivity, and the other 10 tribes were spread abroad. Y'all know the book. Y'all know the history. But we can't use that 12 tribes chart like that thing is the gospel. I'm sorry to put it this way, but it's not the gospel, and I'm just replying to some emails and some stuff I got. But y'all check out those other videos I have on Freemasonry and religion and how leaders, and I can't say they were wicked people, but Elijah Muhammad, and they were involved in Freemasonry. Noble Drew Ali, they were involved in Freemasonry. All these cats, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, all of these dudes, and they studied this thing, and they came out, and they used tools. They try to help y'all, they claim, but they used tools, Clarence 13X, and they gave y'all something to try to build the people up. Are people of African and Hebraic descent, are they disconnected in some type of way? I can understand what my brothers say. We fall off from the law, statutes, and commandments, and we're banging. But as a people, we are lost. Y'all have to come to some type of knowledge of the Most High God and follow commandments. I have no problem.
So I had to step away and use the bathroom. But you see, you can't really use this partially, man. Because when you start dissecting the Bible for what it is, and you even consider, let's say, the maps, because a lot of these other people, they want to take the history of the Bible that began right here. They want to take it over here to the west, south, or they want to take it to the west, north. Or maybe they even want to take it to the east. But it started all right here, if you believe in what the book is saying. Here we see Noah, be fruitful, descendants. Here we see Noah's descendants. Here we see Babel. Then it split. Okay. And if you guys aren't familiar, in case like I showed you, Jubilees 9 talks about what happened after the split. Okay? Because it was through him that the split happened. The splitting. That's why it's called Phaleg. Hell yeah, I remember the time.
Are you?
Nobody wanted to be Mexican. No, everybody wants to claim they've been here since the beginning of time. So anyways, look, this is the beginning. Okay? This is the beginning. Let me magnify it one more time. If you believe in the Bible says that everything started here. Not in Africa. Like the white man and the black man and the Asian man and every fucking man says. The Bible says that everything started here. Okay? So if you want to call yourself or consider yourself an Israelite, the first thing you got to do is accept that right there. First and foremost. I think a lot of you guys forget. But again, who am I, right? Let's see what else he says. I think he does say a few things. Let's go.
With that, but the Bible says, to as many as received him, to them gave he power to become sons of God, even to as many as believed on his name. So y'all taking it and y'all running with this thing, y'all are running amok for no reason. You got scholars laughing at y'all. You have other people that understand history laughing at y'all. And you do have European Jews. I'm going to explain that in depth in Sunday seminary. There were European Jews in the first century. There are Asian Israelites. This is just a known fact. Y'all see the
Family, I've never lied about that stuff, so it's like, I will say to you, no offense, but I would have to say it. Let's continue.
intermingling Acts 17 from one nation. We're only one race of people, but there are different ethnos. Y'all have a Strong's Concordance. There's different ethnic groups of people. Abraham did it. David did it. Solomon did it. Many of your leaders did it. Moses did it. Married outside of that group. Y'all are Israelites and y'all are studying that word and y'all call yourself scholars and leaders and elders and deacons and bishops in that word. Y'all got to explain something about me.
Yo, let me ask you guys a question, man. So what makes you a person? Like, what makes you a people? Right? And we sat back and really, really reflected on this whole total shit. What makes a people a people? Like the things that we say or the things that we do? Now, I will tell you, my opinion, it's the things that we've do and done generationally. That's what is a people. Now, we as a people have been doing things for generations. For generations. I'm not talking about recently. I'm not saying just go, my assumption. No, we got proof. Not just me. There's other people that I'm sure they're not fucking blind. Like, we match these things that a culture of people is supposed to match.
Are you?
We eat the similar food of the same people that others are trying to mimic. We're not even trying to mimic these people. If you look and could reflect as like, just think back as to how those, like, for example, you know, us indigenous, we hold our parents at a high grade. Like we take care of our parents. We don't, you know what I'm saying? Like that's like a natural thing. And I'm sure people, well, we do it. Nah, bro, there's not many nations that do that shit. Like the indigenous people here in the Americas do, bro. And not only that, man, like for example, like my children, I raise my children and I'm like, you know, I'm not perfect, bro. I'm not saying I'm fucking perfect. I'm like this fucking church dude, like walking around with a fucking Bible. Shut up, man. Not even close to that. I'm not saying I don't hold one, but you know what I mean? But it's like I don't do that. And my kids, man, they got respect for themselves. They have some understanding of what goes on in life, like what the Bible is saying, you know, like like the brother's saying right now, they got, you know, beliefs and morals. You know, they understand like, hey, this is, you know, this and this is that. I have a 22-year-old daughter. I still, hey man, she's not fucking around doing dumb shit like a lot of your 22-year-old daughters. Sorry, but I can say that and shit, and I can say that, and I can fucking throw that in your face because guess what? Because I know how to raise a family. So that you can't take that from me. A lot of you guys that have attacked me and shit, you say all this kind of shit, but I tell you what, I bet you that you can't say that about your daughters in your household. And it's all about like what the brother says, belief and morale or morals. Hey, some things are just in the DNA and bloodline. That's right, bro.
Nineveh. Why would the Most High God send Jonah to the Ninevites? They weren't original Israelites. How did Ruth come into the blessing? Y'all know the story of Ruth. Read the book of Ruth. Read the story of Esther. What's going on there? And when we start dealing with the king Cyrus, scripture calls him God's.
No, you know what? He makes a good point here. He makes a good point, and I've said this point before, and I was using it for another example. But look, listen to this.
How did Ruth come into the blessing? Y'all know the story of Ruth. Read the book of Ruth. Read the story of Esther. What's going on there? And when we start dealing with the king Cyrus, scripture calls him God's anointed.
And you know who else God called anointed? Satan. Yeah. So we got to go deep into this shit. So now, let me understand what's going on here, man, because you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, bro. What I'm starting to realize is that some of these people now are saying that certain Canaanites, okay, are not black. And this is going to probably, like, fucking trip you out and shit, because it tripped me out. He said that Canaanites are white.
That's just totally out of the way. So just putting that disclaimer on the front of what we have to say. We'll get into the main part of the message at this time.
Look, check this out. So then he goes here and says, ancient Canaanites were black, but turned white. Does that mean they're still black? And how did they turn white? Oh, he's going to show you.
The ancient Canaanites were blacks, were black people. Now the key and the operative word here is were, not is and not are. The key and operative word is were, and that handful, 100 or a little more of black people within that region of the world who claim or who are called or who have settled to calling themselves Canaanites being the exception to the rule. When we say that the Canaanites, the ancient Canaanites, and qualify that the ancient Canaanites were black people, were. Key operative word there is were, as in past tense. They were. But we know this for a fact. We know that the Gentiles, the nations, that the biblical patriarchs and matriarchs and writers, and from the understanding of our ancient scriptures, as well as the archaeology and the evidence that is here, including the scientific and genetical evidence as well, but someone dismissed that. You understand? We will begin with the other evidence that we have, and then it'll make more sense which genealogical DNA evidence to include.
Well, I mean, fuck, man. Like, let's bring the geological, genetic, and DNA testing involved. You know, like, I mean, if it's gonna be that way, you know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of you guys have been running from that shit because you don't like the answer. You go to it, then you get the answer, then you don't fucking like it.
I agree with you. Not all the DNA evidence out there, seeing that we ourselves are not doing the test ourselves.
You see?
Ourselves can fully be relied on. But much of the DNA backs up our historical, geographical, our scriptural and archaeological evidence to maintain that the majority of the Gentiles the so-called Gentiles, come through Canaan. And the proper and correct interpretation of the Bible.
So I'm assuming he thinks he's an Israelite. Here, I always go to this to every single one of you so-called African Americans that think you're Israelites. Okay? I ask you, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 27. The Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch, whereof thou cannot be healed. Now, you know why I'm reading this? Is because, you see, here it says that the Most High is going to fucking curse you with, like, you know what I'm saying, smallpox type of shit, okay? Now, and like in Egypt, okay? So now, you always want to say that Deuteronomy 28 is you because it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt. Okay? So then you say in Egypt, it's here in America. That's why you're an Israelite, because it's bondage. All right, so then let's go back to Deuteronomy 28, 27. It says here that the Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt. When the fuck did you get smallpox here in the Americas? You claim that you were Deuteronomy 28, 68, and you sit on the Egypt bondage concept. But yet you ignore that in Deuteronomy 28, 27, it also says that you're going to die from the scabs and the itch, emerods, right? Like Egypt. What are you going to tell me now? All of a sudden it's selective? It wasn't in that captivity? Really, man? Let's go.
Well, it proves that the Gentiles, those who are spread abroad, and the main tribes that the Israelites had to deal with, the Hebrew Israelites coming out of Egypt, the main tribe they had to deal with.
What's this guy saying? Let's see. Let me get this right. You believe in Jesus when you were in the camps? Now, nah, this has nothing to do with camps. And then you said, now you are sour. They mistreated you at the... Man, there's nothing to be sour about, bro. You want to prove them wrong, even denying Christ. I mean, which Christ do you believe in, man? Which one? The one in Christmas? The one like Christmas Christ? Is that the one you believe in? What are you talking about? First of all, let's start there. Second, like, I don't know what you're talking about with the camp shit. That has nothing to do with this at all. Nothing at all. I haven't been in those camps in like 3 years, man. But then now I'm curious. Are you talking about the Christmas Christ? Or which Christ are you talking about? Fuck, because you were saying some shit about some other Christ. Now you're saying that you believe in Christ? Make it make sense, bro. Make your mind clear. Which Christ are you talking about, bro? Yeah, that's right. They brought smallpox to the Americans. Shit. I'm glad you reminded me, man. I almost forgot because I was sticking to the Egypt part. But it's true. Deuteronomy 28, 27, the Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, with the emerods, with the scab, and with the itch where thou cannot be healed. This is basically like smallpox, like it happened to the native, so our Hentahita, right? Now, you that claim to be an Israelite and use this verse, right? Because it's like your verse. It says here that Egypt, like in Egypt, like the botch of Egypt, because you run to Deuteronomy 28, 68. So then I would assume that as you get put in ships, you're also going to die of smallpox. But the problem is that we found out that you brought smallpox. And that's the problem. When was the last time you prayed for those people that let you down when you were at your lowest? When you were sick? Did you pray for them? Have you prayed for them? Will you pray for them? All right, so when was the last time you prayed for those people that let you down when you were at your lowest? Like when you were sick? Well, first of all, what people are you talking about? I don't think you see that's the thing about people like you, man. You guys assume that I'm just like another human being and shit. Like I don't. First of all, what people? Which people? Which people do you assume, first of all, that I have an issue with that brought me to my lowest point that I'm still regretful about? Like, I guess you think that I have this big circle of people that I still have an issue with regarding that comment that you just made. So what do you mean? Like I like what do you mean? I'll say it like this. Every person that I still deal with, I still care for. And in my private time, I do what I do in my private time. And I'm not going to tell you or anybody whether I pray for them or not, or how I pray for them or not. But I just find it funny that you're like generalizing and trying to get me to give you a specific answer. It's fucking sick. It's kind of sick that you think that way. Okay, so Deuteronomy 28:68 says this. Deuteronomy 28:27 says this. So let's kind of continue in this gossip, because this is gossip at this point.
In addition to the Amalekites, you know what I'm saying, who were part Canaanites and part Edomites as well, the Amalekawiyan or the Amalekites, you know what I'm saying, were the Amorites or the Amuru, and we know from ancient Egypt, we see their features, and we also have color wall paintings that show us their race and their makeup. And if you can understand the hieroglyphs and interpret that, you can find out what their names were. So yes, we have the Canaanites.
See, you're slowly disclosing who you are. And I kind of knew you were going to have that attitude. And it's okay, man. I don't, it's not like a surprise. People like you come and go all the time, bro. The black people that you hate so much, I need you to get off your ass and do your job when you were in the camps. It sounds like you're still sour, brother. Get off my ass and do what job? Job that I was already doing, or which one? The spiritual job, or like what are you talking about? And what do you know about these camps that you feel so confident in making this statement? If you're a white boy, you don't know nothing about these camps. If you're a white boy, you've never been in these camps. What the fuck are you talking about? You have no idea what goes on in these camps. And look at you, assuming. As a matter of fact, you know what's so funny? The last time that this was brought as a topic was like 2 years ago, man. Like I haven't been in one of those camps in like 3 years. This has not. I've talked about so many topics, bro. The problem with you is that I think look, listen. I've given you an avenue to come here and fucking present yourself and see exactly what you have to say about what you have to say. Because like sometimes listen, in my business, I always say to people, it's not good to, say things that you feel emotional about when you're texting or typing, because it doesn't really say what you really want to say. So I'm giving you a chance to express yourself instead of typing, because that to me sounds like you want to be a secretary. I'm not really here to read all this bullshit, man. Just get to the point. What is it that you want to say? Because you're here. I didn't invite you here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, hit the link and get to the point. Like, what is it that you're trying to do, to convince, or prove? I don't know if you're trying to prove it to me or people on the channel or what the fuck. What's the point? Even the way you speak, you mimic black people, the way you talk, like it sounds like you want to downgrade them, but you you see what I'm saying? Yo, listen, hey, it's funny. Bro, I don't know, man. Like if I sound like I'm trying to be a moreno and shit, then fuck. Then people let me know if I am, because that's funny. And you know what's so interesting? I think that's why you don't want to hit the link, because you're trying to hide who you are. That's the funny part. The thing, what is it that we said? The thing is that you haven't gone on your rabbit hole yet and don't mean much. Okay, I mean, I don't. See, here's the problem. Here's the problem about people like you. You are here. I mean, you're here. If you assume something about me, if you think I'm fake, like I'm talking like other people, then you should not listen to me. If you were a quote unquote real person, if you've been noticing that I've been fake or I talk like other people that I don't belong to, then you should be like, man, I ain't listening to this fucking dude. He's fake as fuck. So what are you saying, bro? I don't understand you. Look, I'm giving you the platform. Stop being a little bitch and hit the fucking link. You know, and make nobody look like a child, my friend. Go for it, man. Oh, now you want to bring up God. Which God? The Jesus God in Christmas, or the God in like, you know, the Creator God? You see, this is where you stop getting nuts. The moment I asked you, which Jesus do you worship? The fucking Christmas Jesus? And then you started attacking me. You see, you're like one of those typical white boys and shit. I noticed you because you said you were like a gringo and shit. And you guys are very passive aggressive with your statements. You make comments like this, and then, oh, it's not you and me, and you kind of poke it like you don't mean it and shit. And you're like, you see, you call me a little bitch. Like, bro, listen, you realize what you've been saying the whole time? You want me to show you? Okay, here we go, right here. You see, you said the thing is that you haven't gotten it your ground habit hole. That don't mean much. It's okay. Keep chipping away. You think it's gotten bad, it's going to get worse if you don't embrace, right? So now you're like, okay, sounds good. Then you said, you mimic the way they speak, it's funny. Okay, sounds good. So it's like you basically saying you sound like a moreno, right? It's not cute. It makes you look like you're a child. See, there you go. But it sounds like you rather point the finger and look at yourself. When have I pointed the finger? But, you know, let's continue. You're always, validating yourself. Nobody cares, especially God doesn't care. Validate. Now, you're assuming that I'm validating myself, right? And then you said, you imagine, your image doesn't mean anything to God's, okay? It doesn't, see, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about. See, because look, here's the most interesting part. I gave you a fucking chance to speak, and you keep typing. And you want to know what that tells me? That you're a fucking child. You're not a man. If you're a man of the Lord, then you're not afraid to hit the link. If you're a man of the Lord, then you'll be like, man, I'm not afraid to talk to you. I'll talk to you. But you're not. You're a kid. Or you're emotional, or you're just scared and you don't want to hit the link because you just don't know how to handle yourself. So here's what I'm going to do for you. Okay? I'm going to put you on timeout for a little bit. Let's see if you got something smart to say later on. Here goes, you call me a little bitch. Bro, if that hurts you, shit. How old are you, man? I hope you're not like fucking 50 years old being offended by that.
In archaeological evidence and history as being fair skin or albino looking peoples. And if you zoom in on some of those wall paintings, you'll see that some of them even have blue eyes. But yet if you look at the fullness of the wall paintings, you can see that they all were not pale, fair, or white skin. You understand? They all were not so-called clean lepers, that some were darker skin. You understand? And we know that some of them probably were black. You understand? But the main tribes of the Canaanites, remember Canaan had 11 sons, which became 11 nations, and we can trace these 11 nations, the majority of them.
And you know what's so funny? If this dude really is white, why is he defending what this guy is saying? Because what this guy is saying is that white people are Canaanites. But he's here saying, why do you hate him so much? What? Like, bro, they're calling you a fucking Canaanite, you dumbass. See, you can always find out who they are, bro. You just gotta wait little by little. Ir como pescando, güey. Look, he's still butthurt about it. Would you call someone a bitch to their face? Yeah, I think I would. Especially if they fucking act stupid. I'm surprised you even have teeth. Nah, man, I don't have teeth. Like, I've lost all my teeth. Like, I don't even have teeth right now. I'm speaking because I just have ability to speak without teeth. Let's see, then we go, look. So now, let's check this out, family. Internet bravery. So then now I can see the tension of this man right there. Dude, you're a sad case, bro. You guys are all the same, man. You guys are all the same. You just gotta wait. Every single person of you. You know what's so funny, fam? Like, matter of fact, I'll say it like this. In Deuteronomy, because we're on that subject, Deuteronomy 18, right? It talked about that there should not be found among you anyone that make his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or that use divination, or an observer of time, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. Meaning, like, don't use anyone to get in between of a message of some other deity. Like, no one should be in between you. Like, don't be praying to this entity to get to the other entity. Because that's what it's saying. Like, don't go to an observer of time or divination, because you have to go to that person to get to the other spirit, or that thing to that other spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't go to an in-between man, like a medium, a mediator, or some shit like that, right? Don't go to that. It says, don't go to that. You know what I'm saying? Don't go to that, bro. You know what that makes me fucking think about? Because we've been talking about this shit. And I'm glad that you know what? You're right, bro. I struck a nerve. If not, why not hit the link and keep typing? Yeah, right. No, as a matter of fact, and I know when I struck a nerve because they keep typing after I fucking tell them, yo, here's the link. Show up or shut the fuck up. And he got offended because I asked him. I think it was, where was it? Where was he at? He let it go somewhere here. Where did he let it go? Maybe like a dumbass, he didn't even remove it. He said something about Christ. And in others lives, I've seen him say like some shit about shit talking about Christ. So I was like, what? Now all of a sudden, like, you're with him? So, and then he gets to like here, like, you call me a little bitch, internet bravery. Would you call someone a bitch in their face? So he's like, man, fuck you. I'm going to fuck you up. Kind of like that concept. Like the guy, like, he's not the guy that gets on a video and says, I'm going to fuck you up. But he's kind of like, would you call someone a bitch in their face? You know what I mean? Like, I'll fuck you up if you did. Kind of like that, right? You're calling me a little bitch. You wouldn't do that in person. See what I'm saying? Bruh. You guys are easy.
Who are you?
You guys are easy to read, bro. You think you're special because you believe you're part of a tribe. And if I'm not, oh well. And that's the problem with people like you, because you know what I'm saying? I can wear that so easily, and I'm not afraid. Keep your head in your swivel, brother. You see, here you go. Keep your head on a swivel, brother. You regurgitate your heart, the thing that you hate. Your brother-in-law, everything you say, what? My brother-in-law? What the fuck are you talking about? Shit. Keep my head on the swivel, right? Are you threatening me, Israelite?
Down to the so-called Indo-Europeans and the so-called Caucasian or Caucasus Asians. You know what I'm saying? This is the fact. Now, because there's...
Hey, yo, it was definitely true. Look, he's threatening. Look, listen. Hold on a second. He says, hold on, your image makes you mean. He goes here. Keep your head on a swivel, brother. Keep your head on a swivel. I mean, what, are you gonna attack me? And then he says, the thing you hate, your brother-in-law, everything you say progresses. What? My brother-in-law? What the fuck are you talking about? What brother-in-law? What do you mean, brother-in-law? Who even said a brother-in-law?
There's a handful of ones, black people, you understand, within the Palestine and Middle East who've been living in Jordania. They really come from the Canaanites. They would do better to admit that they are descendants of the Canaanites, because the Canaanites were some of the pre-Canaanite inhabitants of the land, which...
Yo, well, first of all, there'd have to be a situation where he and I would be in our face, like directly, where he's talking like this and I'm talking like that. Then at that point, then guess what? Maybe I would make sure that, you know what I'm saying, I'm self-defenseful and shit. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm almost 50, bro, but I know how to box. Fuck, what do you think? I'm just gonna be like sitting there like a dumbass? But if you're like, I don't know, if you just think we're just two people that popped up in a square and boom, hey, who are you? I don't know, who am I? And all of a sudden that happens. No, shut the fuck up, bro. That's stupid. What the hell are you talking about, man? If you talk to me a certain way and we're talking like this and we're arguing about something and I say these things, of course I'm going to say what the fuck I'm going to say, because that's what the scriptures say and what the history says. Smallpox, you guys brought it. Who the hell are we? Who the hell are you? Well, guess what? We'll use facts. And if that offends you, I'm sorry. It's not my fault.
Canaan went into. In fact, if you look at a psychological profile of Canaan based on the Metzafe Kufale, or the Book of Division, the Ethiopic Book of Jubilees, it basically states there that the Canaanites settled in land that was not allotted and appointed to them. In other words, they settled in land that were not their own. It's almost like the situation of the Anglo-Americans over here in America with the American Indians, that there were native people there and they were displaced. The first displacement of the native inhabitants was by the Canaanites settling in the land that was appointed.
The funny thing about this video is that I find striking is that he is constantly pointing that Canaanites were black, but they ended up white. All of a sudden now, fucking chocolate is vanilla. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, fuck chocolate. Chocolate is vanilla now.
To the Beta Israel, to the Hebrews and the Ethiopian Hebrews at that. So the key operative word here when we say that the ancient Canaanites were black people, key operative word were, turned white, the majority of them, seeing there are 11 sons, and we can go through both a DNA, you understand, genealogy of them, we can go through archaeology of them, we can go through history of them, we can go back to ancient Egypt, and we can see wall paintings of them, and the main tribes which stayed behind.
Here's where it gets really interesting, and this is like, man, fuck, bro. Dude, it's no different. Well, I mean, it's a little different, but it's not that different than the 12-tribe chart that these so-called Hebrew Israelites try to, you know, prove to you. Like, they named a bunch of fucking, like, no, actually, the 18 nations. They gave they gave you all the 18 nations, and then they're like, they made sure to like name certain nations, Shem. But here, this guy's like, check it, this is funny. Zidonians mixed with black-skinned Syrian, making the original Assyrians, known today as the Lebanese and Sicilians. Hittites mixed with Esau and became Edomites. From them came the Mongol, Indo-European Asiatics. So that's you Mexicans, you Hispanics, all you motherfuckers. That's what these guys are saying. I want you to make sure that you grasp on that fucking thought process right there. Because that's what he means. That's what they say. That's why whenever they say stuff about you and I, they say this right here, that you guys are Edomites because of this concept. So make sure that you understand and believe that, listen, society, diplomacy, politics, all of that shit is out the fucking door. All right? This ain't your politics, family. If I was to share with you all the movies that I've seen and books that I've read, not because I'm better than you. No, fuck no, man. I just happen to, God just happened to say, hey, man, I need you to do these things. Because I was a dumbass, bro. I'm only saying these things because if you were to see what I see, you would know that this is total bullshit. Hittites mixed with Esau, became Edomites, from them became the Mongols, you guys, European Asiatics. The Turks later on, the later day Phoenicians. You see that? And ancient Romans and some and some Anglo-Saxons. Like, you see what I'm saying? Hittites mixed with Esau, Edom, and became Hurrians, Horites, whatever. European Mongols, Asiatics, Indonesians, and some Koreans. So they use all of these 11 tribes to name every other nation, basically.
Behind in that land, according to the scripture and according to the evidence, were the Amuru or the Amorites, the Amorites, as well as the Yabusi, the Jebusites, which in a very, very interesting way, when we look at these two main tribes, the two main tribes that decided to stay behind, the other tribes.
Well, I want to point this out, fam. You see, like how they all of a sudden now that ain't black enough for them, right? Let's go to, let's see, Aztec, just basic Aztec murals. Aztec murals or some shit like that. I think that's how you spell it. Right? And they say, okay? I'm telling you, I'm fucking telling you the truth, fam. They say that noses like that, you know what I mean? Like noses like that, like they say these are black folks. Okay? They use these pictures and say that they're black, that these are African American people from West Africa and shit. Okay? The same, you see what I'm saying? Pay attention. I'm not bullshitting. I'm fucking really being real with y'all. Why? Think about this for a moment. Hold on. Sorry, my bad. Fuck. Which one was it? Shit. No. You see? Es nomás cuando les conviene, güey. Here they say, "Oh no, that was us, bro. That's us. That's a Negro right here." They'll tell you, bro. I've seen them use this picture in their own fucking profiles. They say that's a Negro, but now that's not.
When we look at these two main tribes, the two main tribes that decided to stay behind, the other tribes were scattered abroad, but the two main tribes of Canaanites that stayed behind didn't just call themselves Canaanites. They call themselves by their tribal or nation affiliation. So now having a group of black folks claim to be the Canaanites, well, what tribe or what nation of the Canaan?
So there he goes when we start like pushing like blue-eyed on Zidane and blonde hair, black hair. See, black hair, dark brown eyes, tribe, Jebusite. It's just, it's like their own way of expressing eugenics.
Are you? And the research.
This is like low-level white people fucking eugenics.
By different professors, so forth and so on, to prove such and such things, all fair and good. But when we put it under the microscope, we find that it's found wanting. But the two main tribes, the Jebusites, or the so-called Pale Jews, the Polish Jews, the European Jews, and the Amorites, which come down to us today as the Anglo-Saxon or the Anglo-Americans, so-called British, the Spanish, and then also some of the Gergasites, who are the modern French, come down to us today as far as in this Western Hemisphere, this America and England. You understand, matrix, but then there's a link with the other Canaanites that went to Italy and displaced the native black people there. So what you have to do when you say that the Canaanites, the ancient Canaanites were black people, you have to go into a little more detail and qualifying what you actually mean, because you're displaying that you don't understand the history of who the different peoples are. It's like saying that all the Ethiopians are Amhara. You know what I'm saying? Or like saying all the Ethiopians are Tigray. Or like saying all the Ethiopians are Oromo or Afan or Afar, so forth and so on. They may be called Ethiopia because that right there is the national name, but they have their particular Wogan or their particular Gosa or the particular Neged, you understand, which they are linked with. So the ancient Canaanites, yes, the ancient Canaanites were.
Here we go. Hold on a second. In the King James Study Bible, published by Thomas Nelson. Publication on page 24 under commentary for Genesis 9:25, titled "Cursed be Canaan." You find that it states Canaanites were white. in now way is interpreted as a curse on the black race. This is coming from all Caucasians, my brothers and sisters, admitting that they are the cursed seed of Ham, called the Canaanites.
Were, and we say were and emphasize that word were, black people. But it's clear that the curse was a genetic curse and part of the treatment of the Canaanite in that land by the Hebrews, the Ethiopian Hebrews who came out of.
Be mindful of how the fact that they're using the Zondervan Bible or the Zondervan, which a white man wrote. Noah's prophecy cannot be used to justify enslavement of black. Well, yeah, since nobody's saying that shit. Hold on a second. What? Since their curse here were Canaanites who were Caucasians. Let's see if that's true.
In that land by the Hebrews, the Ethiopian Hebrews who came out of Egypt in the time of Yehoshua or Joshua Yasu, was because of what the evidence that we have in the Metaphic Kufali, the book, the Ethiopic book of Jubilee. So Aksumite Empire. This is a rebuttal.
This is the problem. See, this is what I fucking get mad at. All of a sudden now you guys want to fucking claim Jubilees. But Jubilees is very clear. Jubilees is very clear. So where is it that we are missing the point? Where? Africans, please let me know. I want to know.
But replied to Aksumite Empire and others, but in particular to Aksumite Empire. The book of Jubilees gives us a story. Do you accept this? You understand? Or do you reject this? This is very key and critical to finding out, well, where are you deriving? What evidence are we looking at? Are we looking at even the same evidence? We're going to the Ethiopic scrolls and Ethiopic scriptures like Metaphic.
So you see on the bottom what it says, many people moved, let me just read it. Many people moved into the new land called Canaan, such as the Moabites and the Philistines. Hold on a second. Many people moved into the new land into the new land called now Canaan. I don't know why you put of. New land called Canaan, called now Canaan, such as the Moabites and the Philistines. Where? If you justified Jubilees, now you're fucking saying that Moabites and Philistines, which made up the land of Canaan, which became another land of no. No, listen to what he said earlier.
Jubilees gives us a story. Folly of the book, the Ethiopic book of Jubilee. So
you see, he references Jubilees. See, this is what I fucking hate about people like you, man. Many people moved into the new land called now Canaan, such as the Moabites and the Philistines, which made up the land of Canaan, which became another land. See, I already know. I mean, this is your shit, right? I get it. But listen, you referenced Jubilees. Jubilees did not say anything about Moabites and Philistines being in there. However, God sent his people down there because it was a fertile land flowing with milk and honey. Exodus 3:2. Cush, Mizraim, and Put family were all Negroid, or what some of you would wrongfully call blacks. Their Put's family were invaded by the Romans. Hold on, see, here's the interesting part. They reference Jubilees, but then all of a sudden, Cush, Mizraim, and Put, and you leave out Canaan. You fucking you fucking Canaanite. I get you. See, this is how I don't like you guys, man. You guys are disgusting, bro. Because see, in some references, you say some shit, and then you hide what the fuck you're saying. Like here, you literally expose yourself. Cush, Mizraim, and Put. Oh, by the way, but if you use Jubilees, like what the fuck you talking about? What the fuck is Canaan? What the fuck is Canaan here? That don't matter now? That shit went out the door?
Of Enoch, you understand, which have only been preserved in their Ethiopic, in their Tigray Amhara, in their highland form.
Basically trying to say that the white man is the Canaanite. It's fucking dumb, to be honest with you. But you know what? Look.
Columbus did not discover America. how you can discover a place where the inhabitants are watching you arrive from the shore. There are actually many other mariners before Columbus that discovered America as well. Decades earlier, even eons earlier, many of these pre-Columbian explorers might have come from Africa. Out that Columbus himself was aware that African mariners had preceded him. In his diary of his second voyage, Columbus tells of how the natives of Hispaniola actually had given him gold-tipped metal spearheads that they said were brought by black-skinned people who...
Hold on a second. Hold on. He said that the natives gave him something that were brought from someone else, right? So he can't prove that what the natives gave Columbus was brought from someone else, but he's referencing that. Yet Columbus said it himself and made sure that he wasn't in Africa, because if he was in Africa, that means that he would be in Portugal land. That's why he understood that there was no Africans here, you fuckface. So you're like, okay, wait, listen, Columbus, I'm going to give you something that someone else gave me, but no one can prove that, by the way. And as a Moreno, I'm going to run with it.
Hispaniola actually had given him gold-tipped metal spearheads that they said were brought by black-skinned people who had come in large boats from the south and southeast. Coincidence? I think not. No. Christopher Columbus.
Okay, sounds good then. If those people were already here, how come there's no swords or metal or any type of trade like that, fuckface? Where the fuck is the metals, man? I mean, you know what I'm saying? If we were already trading with you piece of shit motherfuckers, then guess what? 1492 wouldn't have been the same way. You see, this is how you easily debunk these piece of shit bastards, bro. I'm sick of this game, bro. Let's just destroy this game.
I mean, I've been saying this. I said it a long time ago when people try to attack me. But now you think about everybody who speaks about Tupac. There's a dichotomy. There's two guys going on. Mm-hmm. All you got to do, please play the 17-year-old Tupac, the interview. That's who he was.
Yeah,
he was this innocent, almost, dare I say.
Oh, dare I say, me offending you, piece of shit bastards. Listen, I'm gonna tell you guys already right now, bro. Do me a favor, bro. I need you guys, a lot of you, to unsubscribe to this channel right now. Please unsubscribe to this channel right now, bro, because a lot of you guys are not in this. I'm not in it for real, man. I don't care about fake numbers, bro. Like, unsubscribe. I don't want you here. A lot of you guys are haters and shit. You just want to see what something goes weird or when I argue, man. Get the fuck out of here, bro. I enjoy being a small channel I enjoy being a little fish in a big pond, bro. That's the best feeling. It's the best feeling.
Somewhat effeminate type of dude, right? Like, when you really look at that interview, he's a very soft person. That's who he was.
I stand by my statement that gangster rap was intentionally encouraged, and then they found some people that were just straight up actors to play this role of a gangster. And one of those people
currently playing the role in politician and politics and shit with their little fake ass star. Come on, man. Get the fuck out of here with your star.
Is obviously Tupac. So let's just watch this footage. You may forget this. Tupac was an actor, and I'm pretty sure he was not a heterosexual actor either on the basis of this clip. Take a listen.
I'm most like my mom because I'm arrogant. Totally arrogant. I agree. I have to say, like at work, I can't hold a job. I just quit my job today, actually, because I wanted to come and do this, and they wouldn't let me. And I felt like it was important, and it was more important than serving pizza, and we had enough people, so I felt like since I'm an actor, they should understand. They should have let me do it, but they didn't. And then I had a cold. So
Here, let me sound like Tupac. Well, you know, I had a good day today. I had some lunch. and I had some milk, and I had some bread. You see what I'm fucking saying, bro? Really? Israelites? Really?
They were making me work in a freezer. And I'm really not one to be disrespected. And I felt like that was disrespectful because I asked to go, you know. So I quit. And he told me I couldn't quit. And that even made me hyper. I'm arrogant. So when he told me I couldn't quit and we had all these customers, I chose that time to jump on a soapbox, grab my leather jacket, light a cigarette in front of him, smoke, and leave in the middle of a rush. So that was natural high. That's arrogance at the top. That's I think I'm most like my mother. And she likes it. She'll see it in me and know it. And we clash a lot because I'm arrogant, she's arrogant. And you should see us when we get in our little attitude moods.
2 years later.
Yo, that's your king, yo. He named himself Tupac, like Tupac Amaru, bro. He put this gay dude named Tupac Shakur, names himself after a great warrior. No one talks about that. Oh, nah, man. It'd be a little offensive. Fuck that shit. Tupac Gay Shakur names himself after a great king from Peru, Tupac Amaru. Because Tupac Shakur got plugged all the time, baby. That's what it says right here.
He plays Bishop. And that character that he created with Bishop influenced millions of people. And he stayed in that character.
Wanna be a gangster. Yo, Bishop! What you want? Take whatever you want. Punk. You've been saying that you say you can bust my ass.
Because I literally would see him flip-flop from one character to the other because we would hang out, we'd play pool, and famously people would say, your friend looks like Tupac. And they didn't think that could be him because he was more like that 17-year-old guy.
Joe, this is Tupac. What you watching the big picture, man?
Kick some lyrics and end it with yo, you're watching Yo MTV Raps.
Yeah, I can't do that.
You better do that.
Now I clown around when I hang around with the underground. Girls used to frown, say I'm down when I come around. Gas me when they pass me. They used to smack me, but now they watch me on MTV Raps.
But when you're a young kid, that impressionable, and you get all of this accolades for being that character, even gangsters, you know, look up to you and give you that's a fantasy for a young kid like that. You could just look at that and go, wait a minute, the Tupac that you've seen, his biography is a guy who grew up tough his whole life. That's not what he was. Simply, that's not what he was.
He grew up poor his whole life.
Yeah, but you would think he grew up in the hood his whole life. And you know good and damn well that wasn't a scenario.
Yeah, no,
because
he hopped around different cities from Baltimore to Marin to New York.
When he's 17, he's a background dancer for Digital Underground.
Right.
So, and then he gets cast in Juice.
Dancer, not rapper. You know what I'm saying? Dancer, not rapper. The world is a stage.
Right.
You know? So that it's fascinating when you just think about this imagery. It kind of connects with the Seagal thing. There's an image that somebody's presented. If you really pay attention, who are the real people? There's an imagery that most of our rappers presented early on that when you look at it later, and the Snoops and Dr. Dre's and Ice Cubes and all these people, you go, wait a minute, is that the gangster that influenced me to become a gangster? You know what I mean?
That the gangster that influenced me to become a gangster.
So you know, so I look at it and go, hey.
Like, is the gay looking dude, Tupac Shakur, made me a gangster and shit. Now I don't even know who I am no more. check this out, fam. Like, I want you to be aware of this stuff, man, because like, you know, it takes it takes media to push bullshitia. But again, if we dissect truth, because look, I'll say it like this: there's a nation of people that claim to be an Israelite nation, right? That, you know what I'm saying, and then we like question them. And there's also another nation of people that claim to be Israelites, and we question them. Okay. And then both of them, if you do their DNA, they'll never show up to be Israelites. Both of them. This is the black wannabe Israelites and the white wannabe Israelites. So keep in mind. So if you do a DNA test on the white wannabe Israelites and the black wannabe Israelites, they'll never come from that region. Okay? Right? I want you to remember that. They're also the only two nations that people assume that could be the Israelites. Okay? I want you to remember that. Listen to this here real quick.
It's not even about DNA, it's heritage. And then in response to this other tweet, she says, see, now I understand why people support Palestine. And the tweet is, and this, my beloved Jews, is why you shouldn't endorse mentally ill celebrities. We kind of covered that at the top of the segment here. But so she's saying, I was talking about something else. You know, I was talking about something. So this person says, first, appreciate all the support of Israel. Want to address this.
Right here, okay. Look at this. So this, just whoever she is, I don't give a fuck. Another trap, like typical shit. Sure, but I was talking about Israelites in the black Hebrew Rastafarian and the black Christianity Hebrew Bible sense. I wasn't talking about Israel, the Levant, Ethiopian Jewry, or any of this. Thank you for this long explanation about the completely different topic. Okay? So this is a little rapper bitch right here, little fucking rapper hoe bitch, because that's what they talk about, hoe shit. Let's hear about what this hoe. I mean, I'm not gonna call her hoe, but you know what I'm saying. That's what they do. Anyhow, so she's gonna say some stuff, and I want to share something with you.
It didn't affect you at all that they were blowing up all those babies, that they were leaving babies in NICUs to rot to death. Like none of that bothered you. But what bothers you is that they just don't like black people. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So this is what I wanted to show you. So now let's go back a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. So this negra right here, it wasn't about like, oh, people. It was like, well, they're killing black people, not Palestinians, not quote unquote Jews, fucking negros that resemble her.
In the black Hebrew Rastafarian and black Christianity Hebrew Bible sense. I wasn't talking about Israel. And she says, oh, now it's heritage. This person writes, heritage is more than just DNA. Some Palestinians may carry genes, but Jews preserve the culture, language, and religion across millennia. DNA without lived continuity does not transmit the spiritual or cultural legacy of the Israelites. And she's like, oh, now it's heritage. It's not even about DNA, it's heritage. And then in response to this other tweet, she says, see, now I understand why people support Palestine. And the tweet is, and this, my beloved Jews, is why you shouldn't endorse mentally ill celebrities. We kind of covered that at the top of the segment here. But so she's saying, I was talking about something else. You know, I was talking about something. So this person says, first, appreciate all the support of Israel. Want to address this. You know, and this person kind of writes this really long post. And Azalea just is like, sure. You know, I was talking about Israel. I was talking about Israelites in the black Hebrew Rastafarian and black Christianity Hebrew Bible sense. I wasn't talking about Israel, the Levant, Ethiopian Jewry, or any of this. Thank you for this long explanation about a completely different topic.
So I'll tell you right now that I will compare my DNA with this fucking stupid bitch right here, and I'll guarantee you that you can't compare. You see what I mean? Shut the fuck up. Canaanites, y'all getting out of hand.
Topic. So she's You know, just kind of having this comical flip. And it's really because it's been so exhausting watching her pro-Israel stance. And now it's just really funny to watch her be like, F you all, I'm out. You have no friends. This is why. I mean, it would be better if the reason why she was saying all this is because they committed genocide and she got sick of seeing blown up babies.
That was the point, right? It would be good if that was the case. But that's not the case. That's why I don't trust Canaan, or Edom, or Ishmael, or Elam, or Moab, or Ammon. Fuck.
That would actually be, you know, so this isn't really something to celebrate as Azealia Banks changing her tune on Israel. It's really pretty disgusting that she didn't prior to now, that it took her own personal feelings about racism and that it was just a racism issue for her. That, oh, well, once they showcase themselves as racist against blacks, then I'm out. Rather than, oh, you know, like it didn't affect you at all that they were blowing up all those babies, that they were leaving babies in NICUs to rot to death. Like none of that bothered you. But what bothers you is that they just don't like black people. Okay. I mean, that's bad too. I get it. That's bad too. But, you know, that's what it boils down to. I mean, this is some sort of narcissism. It just boils down to, oh, they just don't like black people. Okay. What about all those kids? What about all those kids? So she gives an explanation. She does a Twitter space where she talks for about 45 minutes about what has gone on. And I want to play for you like the first few minutes of it so that you can hear from her.
So she says, oh, poor black Israelites. Fuck all you other ones that are dying. Shut up, man. I'm not even trying to hear this shit no more. I'm done. Let's move on. Yeah, you know what, bro? Like, you guys don't even care. Let me just be finished and shit. Let's go.
Phrase white replacement, a fear-driven theory claiming that white people are being intentionally replaced by immigrants and minorities. This so-called great replacement is not a fact. It's a pseudo-conspiracy created and amplified by far-right extremists and white nationalist groups.
The purpose? To spread fear, division, and paranoia, particularly among working-class and conservative white Americans who feel left behind by social and economic changes. There is no organized agenda to replace anyone. What's actually happening is something seen in every advanced nation: declining birth rates among higher income and educated populations. This trend isn't racial, it's economic and social. As societies develop, fertility rates drop. People delay having children to pursue education, careers, or financial stability. This affects everyone: white, Hispanic, Asian, and black families alike. The more financially secure a group becomes, the fewer children they tend to have. There's even an old saying, the rich get rich and the poor have kids. While simplistic, it captures a real demographic truth. When people gain access to education, healthcare, and opportunity, family size naturally decreases. That's why population growth is faster in developing nations and slower in wealthier ones, due to human choices. Right-wing media.
So I ain't trying to like preach politics. See you guys probably another time, maybe never. Who cares? I have a little thing to share with you guys. Hopefully you like it. Hold on, it's gonna sound a little loud right now. Give me a second. Oh shit! Shut up. But I found this song, and I think you guys may like it. It's like our people's song and shit. All right. You guys have a good night, man. Appreciate you guys being here. Let's see what we got. Yeah, that's it. Let's go.
Me senté en el corredor con mi guitarra en las manos, recordando a mi compadre que se fue hace unos días. El viento me trajo su risa entre los campos lejanos y entendí que sigo aquí con las canas pero con vida. Mi padre se fue temprano, muchos amigos ya no están, pero yo sigo tanto bajo este cielo mexicano, con el alma agradecida y el corazón esperanzado. Mientras tenga aliento, voy a celebrar cada amanecer que Dios me quiera regalar. No voy a llorar por lo que el tiempo se llevó. Soy privilegiado, todavía estoy aquí yo. Mientras tenga aliento, voy a seguir cantando por los que se fueron y por lo que sigo esperando. Esta guitarra fue de mi papá, tiene historias que contar. La toqué en bodas y velorios, en cantinas y en el hogar. Cada cuerda es un recuerdo, cada nota es un lugar donde dejé un pedazo mío que no se puede borrar. Mis manos tienen arrugas, pero siguen trabajando, y mi corazón cansado todavía sigue latiendo. Llevo en mi pecho las ganas de vivir lo que me queda. Mientras tenga aliento, voy a celebrar cada amanecer que Dios me quiera regalar. No voy a llorar por lo que el tiempo se llevó. Soy privilegiado, todavía estoy aquí yo. Mientras tenga aliento, voy a seguir cantando por los que se fueron y por lo que sigo esperando. Miro para atrás y veo un camino lleno de huellas, algunas marcadas con risas, otras con lágrimas sinceras, pero todas me trajeron hasta aquí, hasta este momento, donde entiendo que la vida es un regalo, no un tormento. Y mientras pueda ver el sol brillar sobre mi tierra, voy a abrazar cada segundo como si fuera el último que queda. Y si mañana me toca que me encuentren sonriendo, con mi guitarra en el pecho y mi sombrero puesto, porque aprendí que la vida, aunque duela el recuerdo, es un regalo hermoso que no dura para siempre, no dura para siempre, ay, no dura para siempre. Y por eso cada día lo vivo con la frente en alto. Celebrar cada amanecer que Dios me quiera regalar. No voy a llorar por lo que el tiempo se llevó. Soy privilegiado, todavía estoy aquí yo. Mientras tenga aliento, voy a seguir cantando por los que se fueron y por lo que sigo esperando. Por mi compadre querido, por mi padre y su memoria. Mientras yo siga con vida, seguirá viva su historia. Seguirá viva su historia. Sigo aquí con mi guitarra, sigo aquí bajo este sol. Sigo aquí y eso es bastante. Mientras tenga aliento, sigo yo mientras tenga aliento. Mientras tenga aliento, aquí estoy. Mientras tenga aliento, gracias a Dios.
Ical, hijo, abre los ojos. Cuerpo queda con nosotros, pero tu espíritu debe seguir. Búscala. Aléjate de las sombras. Deja que nuestro dolor sea tu fuerza. aquí ilumina tu camino. Lucha como nosotros antes de una pena grande. Yo soy tú eres yo. La muerte que hoy nos separa, mañana volverá a unirnos. Eres libre, hijo.